Hey friends, hope you're all doing well. We're doing okay too, just really tired since we've been working non-stop. We wanted to answer a question many of you ask: how does our publishing process work? Most of our audiobooks are first posted on Patreon as paid content. They stay behind a paywall for a few months. After that, they become free to access on Patreon forever. Then, a few weeks later, we upload them to other platforms like YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, X. Lately, our community hasn't been growing much, and we could really use your help. Please share our site in your Facebook groups, Discord servers, Reddit threads, Twitter, X, or with any friends who might be interested. Every little bit helps and we really appreciate it. Thanks a lot for being with us and supporting what we do. It was truly monstrous. Nearby, Cracker swung his massive sword, slicing through the enemies surrounding him. He exhaled heavily, glancing at Kitakuri. Brother, focus. This is a battlefield, not the place to zone out. Kitakuri turned to him with a grin. Bad habit, I know, but isn't that why I have you? Cracker couldn't help but shake his head with a wry smile. Fine. What else could he say? That's just what family was for, trusting each other without question. Suddenly, a terrifying slash of sword energy tore through the battlefield. Ah! Screams of agony erupted as Marines were cut down en masse. Compote descended, wielding a blade even longer than herself. With a resounding crash, the ground quaked beneath her strike as if it would collapse entirely. Kitakuri and Cracker couldn't help but groan. Sister Compote, you're getting way too violent. Compote shot them an annoyed glare. What kind of brothers call their sister Violet? With a terrifying gleam in her eyes, Compote unleashed an even stronger attack. The overwhelming sword door seemed as though it could devour everything in its path. Gulp, both of them couldn't help but swallow nervously. Honestly, Compote was at most a bronze level 7 fighter. But the combat prowess she displayed was simply unbelievable, shocking even. Hee, Joey observed the battlefield with growing satisfaction. Kitakuri and Cracker, those two punks have really improved. What's most impressive is their rich battle experience now. While Kitakuri and Cracker hadn't fundamentally improved their levels, their combat capabilities had skyrocketed. There's a vast difference between being self-taught and becoming a battle-hardened warrior. And now, these two? They were undoubtedly seasoned fighters. However, Joey's gaze shifted to another figure. Kitakuri and Cracker's growth was evident and didn't require much commentary. But Compote? At this moment, Compote was showcasing a level of monstrous combat strength that was nothing short of terrifying. Truly. On the battlefield, whether it was the Navy or the pirates, everyone watching Compote felt off. Was Compote powerful? Well, she was decent. In her tier, she could be considered above average, but not by much. The problem, though, was her shocking display of power. And that wasn't even the end of it. No one knew where Compote suddenly pulled out a second massive blade from. With both swords in hand, she unleashed a combination move, creating a devastating attack that left a horrifying crater in the ground. Watching the sheer destruction Compote caused, Shiki instinctively glanced at his own dual swords. At that moment, he was utterly bewildered. What was going on? This wasn't how it was supposed to be. Impact wave. Keishin, Seaquake. Sengoku and Edward Newgate, Whitebeard, clashed and then separated. Sengoku landed on the ground, his eyes narrowing as he looked at Compote rampaging with her dual blades. He muttered, "What a dangerous woman. Charlotte Compote. Is she some kind of monster?" In reality, Compote's swords weren't ordinary weapons. These dual blades had unique properties. They continuously absorbed her stamina and haki. Her left-hand blade, Dead Sea, absorbed haki. Her right-hand blade, Living Sea, absorbed physical strength. These blades were crafted by Joey using rare materials from another world, specifically for Compote. They were on par with the supreme-grade swords. Moreover, the sword's potential was tied to Compote's own growth and gave additional effects. For example, if her stamina was 100 and her haki was at 0, the combined limit of the blades would be 200. As Compote's power increased, so did the sword's capacity. Without these swords, Compote's aggressive fighting style would have already drained her. Only someone with an extraordinary physique, like Lilin, could sustain them. But with the dual swords forged by her brother, Compote forcibly unleashed the necessary power. Compote rampaged across the battlefield, while Kitakuri and Cracker followed close behind. They had no choice. Their sister's reckless style forced them to cover the gaps, ensuring nothing spiraled out of control. Otherwise, who knew what kind of chaos might erupt? Clap. Tsuru walked up behind Sengoku and asked, "What's your take on this?" Sengoku shook his head. "Compote, Kitakuri, Cracker, those three brats are terrifyingly talented. Ideally, we should eliminate them here." Tsuru nodded in agreement. That would be the best outcome. But Charlotte Joey? That man's goal is to train his siblings, not send them to their deaths. Taking down those three won't be easy. And besides, Sengoku vanished in an instant as Edward charged toward him. The two collided once more. There was no time to deal with those kids, his opponent demanded all his attention. Gorura, Edward let out a hearty laugh. Sengoku. What's wrong with you? Don't get distracted. You're making this boring. Keishin. Impact wave. Their attacks rippled outward, spreading devastation across the battlefield. Whether it was the shockwaves of the Buddha fruit or the quakes of the tremor fruit, both were large-scale assaults. If they weren't holding back, their unchecked power could have easily swept through most of the battlefield. Clap. Joey lightly tapped his chair, muttering, Sengoku, Garp, Zephyr, Shiki, Edward, John, Wang's silver acts. His sharp eyes scanned the battlefield rapidly. He murmured in confusion, everyone's already engaged. So what exactly is Rock's planning? Joey's gaze lingered on Rock's, deep in thought. After all, his younger siblings had grown significantly. They no longer needed his constant attention. Even though Compote seemed to be dominating the battlefield, the truth was that Kitakuri's talent far surpassed hers. It wasn't just a matter of aptitude, it was raw potential. Joey was genuinely excited. Would Kitakuri break through his current limits during this war? From bronze level 9 to silver level 1? That was a massive gap, like crossing an insurmountable chasm. If Kitakuri succeeded, he would undergo a true transformation. At that point, Kitakuri could become a true pillar of the family. Right now, the family only has two pillars, Mom and himself. While his siblings' growth was gratifying, they still fell short. Chapter 72, Rockstee's Epic, the strength of a family doesn't come from just one person. It takes pillars, many of them. Mom? Forget it. Sure, she's great in a fight. But managing things? Hell no. In the original story, Kitakuri played both mom and dad roles while Mom herself. Well, she mostly got in the way. But now, after Kitakuri's breakthrough, I can't help but look forward to what's coming. A level 1 silver-ranked Kitakuri? By then, our family will have a new pillar of strength. I've been grooming Prospero to handle the underworld business. Kitakuri? He'll be the backbone of the Big Mom pirates. Still, Prospero just needs to use his brain. But Kitakuri? He's different. He has to show enough power to keep all those restless fools in check. Ha! Compote roared, charging into the battlefield. Her dual sword slashed through the air, unleashing endless waves of sword energy, mowing down countless marines like weeds. Willow. Machi. Kitakuri's leg turned into strips of machi, coated in armament hockey. In a flash, he unleashed a barrage of machi-covered kicks in all directions. His explosive power was just slightly below Compote's. Compared to his older siblings, Cracker seemed a little underwhelming. But that's only on the surface. In reality, Cracker wasn't weak at all. Clap. With a calm clap, Cracker summoned his giant biscuit soldiers, an army of them. Calling Cracker a one-man army wasn't an exaggeration. Compote, Kitakuri, and Cracker, these three brats were wreaking havoc, showing off their insane combat skills. Why? Because they weren't afraid. They knew they had Joey, Linlin, and the Charlotte family backing them. No matter what chaos they caused here, as long as they left afterward, no one could touch them. With a battlefield like this, where you could grow stronger, you'd be doing yourself a disservice if you didn't go all out. Meanwhile, Hashi and Defili charged into the fray alongside Big Mom. Boom. Big Mom and Garp collided in an instant. Napoleon clashed against Garp's iron fist. Garp took a step back, his sharp eyes glinting. Crazy woman. You've gotten even stronger, huh? Ikuku. Big Mom ignored Garp, raising her hand and unleashing a massive wave of sword energy. Compared to Compote, this attack wasn't just stronger, it was in a whole different league. A terrifying wave of sword energy swept across everything in its path. Ha ha ha. You think I'm a joke? Laughing loudly, Garp raised his fist to counter the attack head-on. Against an opponent of the same level, winning wasn't going to be easy. Boom. The battlefield erupted with a deafening roar. Linlin clashed with Garp. Edward faced Sengoku. Shiki took on Zephyr. On the Navy's side, their three strongest new generation fighters were all held up. But the pirates were a different story. Their numbers were simply overwhelming. Even though the Navy came prepared, there were too many pirate powerhouses. Even those weaker than Garp, Sengoku, or Zephyr caused massive damage to the battlefield. Boom. The ground shook as explosions rang out across the battlefield. Suddenly, a meteor-like figure crashed down, splitting the earth beneath them. Ugh. In the crater lay Steel Bone Kong, coughing up blood. As one of the Navy's admirals, he was already out of the fight, and the battle had just begun. Watching from the sidelines, Joey glanced at him and muttered, almost all his bones are shattered. No matter how strong his will is, he's not getting back up. So, this is Rock's power, huh? To knock Kong out of the fight so quickly. It was shocking. Even Joey hadn't expected this outcome. After all, the Navy's 3 admirals were all silver level 3 fighters. Rock's? He was only at silver level 5. That gap shouldn't have been enough to create such an overwhelming difference. Joey turned his head, baffled. Something felt off. At that moment, Rock's appeared on the battlefield. Joey's eyes widened in disbelief. No way. Right now, Rock's power had suddenly surged to silver level 7. Joey was stunned. How could this even happen? Jumping from silver level 5 to 7 wasn't just impressive, it was practically defying logic. Joey fell silent, his mind racing as he tried to figure out what was going on. What had changed? What was Rock's doing to achieve this? His sharp eyes glimmered as he muttered, did he find some special method to temporarily boost his power? Is Rock's planning to take out the strongest fighters as quickly as possible? But why? There's no need to rush. Or was he just hiding his true power? He shook his head. That didn't seem right. If Rock's had suppressed his strength before, the system would have picked up on it. That left only one possibility, Rock's had indeed found a way to boost his power in a short amount of time. Joey sighed in amazement. It's hard to believe. Is this the dark fruit's special ability? It was the most plausible explanation he could come up with. The extraordinary nature of the dark fruit model, darkness human devil fruit, seemed like the only thing capable of such rapid power escalation. Otherwise, it didn't make sense. Shaking his head, Joey dismissed the thought for now. Instead, he focused on observing the battlefield, carefully waiting for the right moment to act. Not yet, he whispered to himself. It's still not the right time. The CP organization hasn't made their move. Acting now would be too risky. Judging by the current situation, they'll have no choice but to intervene soon. That'll be the perfect moment. With narrowed eyes, Joey continued to bide his time, silently waiting for the ideal opportunity. He knew it wouldn't be long. Bam. Ugh. Rox planted his foot firmly on Kong's chest, a savage grin on his face. Kong. After all these years, you still haven't improved at all. Looks like your death will mark the beginning of today's slaughter. Stop it. Rox. Roared voices filled with fury. It was Byakko and Karasu. The 2 admirals had shaken off their opponents and were charging toward Rox at full speed. Oh? Rox feigned surprise, a mocking smirk tugging at his lips. You're coming straight to me? How convenient. Let me take care of you trash first. Without hesitation, Rox spun around, meeting the 2 head-on. Boom. His fists collided with theirs, and despite facing 2 admirals at once, Rox held his ground effortlessly. Even against Byakko and Karasu, he didn't falter. The 3 of them clashed fiercely, their terrifying speed and overwhelming strength on full display. Each strike was a masterclass in hockey, armament that could shatter steel, observation that predicted moves with pinpoint accuracy, and the raw might of their physical prowess. Rox wasn't a weakling when it came to hand-to-hand combat. Far from it, he was a beast in every aspect. For years, Rox had hidden the true extent of his devil fruit's power. Even now, he relied more on his own overwhelming might to dominate the battlefield. It was this combination of physical strength, hockey, and cunning that allowed him to rule over the Rox pirates and terrify an entire era. Byakko and Karasu were no pushovers, either. As seasoned combatants, they had honed their bodies into lethal weapons. In their era, admirals like Steelbone, Byakko, and Karasu were physical powerhouses. Later generations, like Sengoku, Garp, and Zephyr, combined martial prowess with devil fruits or just physical power. But after them, the admirals, Okainu, Aokiji, and Kizaru, relied heavily on their fruits' powers. Each era had its strengths. Crack. With a resounding punch, Rox struck Byakko square inches the chest. Arg. Byakko coughed up blood, his face twisted in disbelief. How are you this strong? Rox. What are you? Ha ha ha. Rox let out a cruel laugh, offering no answers. What fool would reveal their trump card? On this dangerous sea, keeping your secrets was vital. A hidden ace could be the difference between life and death. Byakko's severe injury was proof of Rox's overwhelming power. Karasu, left alone against him, fared no better. Boom. A brutal kick sent Karasu flying. In mere moments, 3 of the Navy's finest, Steelbone, Byakko, and Karasu, were all sprawled on the ground. They weren't dead yet, but they were utterly defeated. For a brief moment, the battlefield fell silent. All eyes turned to the man standing at its center. Rox D. Zebek. The world called him many things, Captain Rox, the strongest man in the world. But today, everyone acknowledged a title he had never sought, the Invincible Man. Rox exuded an aura of unchallenged dominance. His strength was beyond belief. He wasn't just strong, he was a monster. "Hey!" Rox sneered, his grin widening. "What's wrong, old-timers? Is that all you've got? Looks like this war is mine to win. Don't get cocky, Rox. Shut your mouth. Justice will stop you, no matter what." Karasu and Byakko forced themselves to their feet. Their injuries weren't life-threatening, but Kong wasn't so lucky. The Navy Admiral lay broken, incapable of even standing. His defeat was absolute. Rox scanned the two remaining admirals, his smirk dripping with mockery. "You two think you can stop me?" "Yes, we can." In a flash, the pair charged Rox again, their movements blurring as they clashed. The battlefield roared with their terrifying power, but anyone watching could see the truth: Rox was utterly dominating. Even together, the two admirals couldn't match him. How is this possible? What's going on? Captain Rox. Confusion rippled through the crowd. Rox had always been strong, but this was something else entirely. His power was leagues beyond anything anyone expected. Only Joey remained silent, his gaze fixed on the fight. He understood. Rox had reached silver level 7, while Byakko and Karasu were only at silver level 3. The difference between their strength was insurmountable. At lower levels, it was possible to overcome such a gap. But as one climbed higher, the disparity became unbridgeable. At the highest tiers, gold, platinum, diamond, and crystal, the gap was akin to that between mortals and gods. Screech. Suddenly, Rox grabbed Byakko with both hands. Before anyone could react, he tore the admiral's body in two. Blood sprayed across the battlefield as Byakko fell lifelessly to the ground. But Rox wasn't done. His gaze shifted to Karasu, whose injuries and exhaustion were mounting rapidly. The Invincible Man was about to claim his second admiral. Chapter 73, Katakuri breaks through. Splurt. Blood splattered everywhere. Karasu lowered his head, murmuring, "Has the gap really grown this big?" His heart. It had been pierced. He was utterly powerless. The Navy's 3 admirals. Steelbone lay motionless in a deep crater, his fate uncertain. Byakko was torn apart, dead on the spot. Karasu's heart was pierced, and he was barely clinging to life. Roar. Rox let out an earth-shaking roar, his aura terrifying beyond measure. Clearly, after taking on all 3 admirals and defeating them, Roxor had become something entirely different. Roar. Roar. The pirates echoed his roar, their voices filled with unrestrained fury. Captain Rox is invincible. Victory. 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 The Navy. The world government. The celestial dragons. They're all trash. If there had been any hesitation in the pirates before, now it was gone. Now, they were consumed by madness, like wild beasts. Rox's image as an unbeatable force was etched deeply into their hearts. At that moment, there was no hesitation left in them. Kill. That was their only thought, to slaughter every enemy in sight. Watching the battlefield escalate to this point, Joey suddenly understood. Glancing at Rox, Joey muttered, Rox must have used some kind of technique to temporarily boost his strength. But, from the looks of it, there's no sign of weakness. It's a sustainable technique, though it probably takes a long time to use again. Indeed. Rox's power had returned to silver level 5, which proved his earlier display of strength had been forced. But it was enough. Rox, standing invincible, had crushed the admirals single-handedly. The pirates had completely burned their bridges. To them, following Rox meant certain victory. Simply put, Rox's actions were meant to inspire his crew. And he had succeeded. The pirates were fully motivated. They roared with unrelenting fervor. Roar. Howl. Fueled by this madness, they charged back into battle. Their insanity was contagious. Custard, a young girl witnessing the chaos, muttered nervously, terrifying people. Joey remained calm. Indeed. They're lunatics to the core. Mundi nodded in agreement. They've lost it, completely carried away by Rox's influence. Exactly. Joey smiled, leaning back on his chair. At this rate, the CP organization won't be able to wait any longer. Once they make their move, it'll be our turn. The CP organization. The protectors of the celestial dragons. Known as the strongest shield, they were not to be underestimated. For Joey's plan to work, he needed to bypass them. Today, 80% of the celestial dragons are gathered here. The wealth, devil fruits, and slaves concentrated in this place were top tier. Treasures were vital for the Charlotte family's future. Devil fruits, even more so. Although Joey had a decent collection of them, devil fruits were always in demand. For example, Joey had already used 20 devil fruits to acquire 10,000 beastmen. These beastmen were an important investment for Joey. In addition, there were qualification pills and higher-tier resources to consider. Joey had spent 100 devil fruits on 300 qualification pills alone. It was an unavoidable cost. Once the battle at God Valley ended, Joey planned to strengthen his family significantly. Make your move already. The Navy alone can't stop Rock's pirate crew. It's time to train those two new armies as well. As Joey pondered, the CP organization began to act. It all happened in an instant. The Navy's white uniforms were joined by two more forces spilling out of God Valley. Gray uniforms. Blue uniforms. Two armies charged onto the battlefield. Though their numbers were small, about 4,000 soldiers in total, led by commanders of silver-level strength, their combat prowess was undeniable. Each soldier was an elite. Oh? Joey, who had been mulling over other matters, immediately took notice and chuckled. The Army and the Air Force, huh? Newly formed troops, and they've already been thrown into the fray? Joey's intelligence network was excellent. Half a year ago, the world government had established ground and air forces in addition to the Navy. The Army headquarters was based on the Red Line. As for the Air Force headquarters, that remained a mystery. In short, the world government had formed a tri-service military, Army, Navy, and Air Force. It explained why Kong, in the future, would become the supreme commander of the three services. Mundi was puzzled. Big bro, when did these forces show up? Half a year ago. Joey replied. The five elders set them up, but their motives aren't clear. These troops are still in their infancy, strength and numbers are far from top tier. But with the world government's deep pockets, it won't take more than 10 years for them to grow into a formidable force. Mundi nodded. So this God Valley battle is a training ground for them. Most likely. Joey replied. To the five elders, this war is nothing more than a joke, a stage to test their new troops. Otherwise, they wouldn't have sent such fresh recruits here. But CP organization is moving. Joey's voice trailed off as he stood, watching figures in white and black suits with eerie masks join the battlefield. The CP organization had made their move. Hey. Joey smirked. If CP is moving, then it's time for our plan to begin. On the battlefield. Bam. Katakuri quickly crushed the enemies around him. He immediately noticed the Army and Air Force reinforcements but remained unfazed. In the next moment, Katakuri lowered his head, his aura brimming with lethal intent. Hard biscuit block. Cracker acted swiftly, conjuring layers upon layers of shields to protect them. Boom. The devastating blow was blocked. Katakuri glared at a white-suited figure wearing a strange mask and muttered, the CP0. Looks like they're here to clean us out. Cracker frowned. Katakuri, this guy's strong, silver-level strength at least. Should we retreat? Before Katakuri could answer, Compote landed a crushing blow on another attacker, killing him instantly. She then joined Katakuri and Cracker. Compote also looked serious. The Army, Air Force, and CP0 have all joined the battle. Should we prepare to retreat? No. Katakuri's sharp eyes burned with determination. If I retreat now, my future will end here. He tightened his grip on his trident, his expression firm. Compote, Cracker, retreat to our mother. Leave this man to me. Katakuri? Brother Katakuri? We go. Before they could protest, Joey's calm voice echoed. Reluctantly, the two nodded and retreated, understanding Katakuri's resolve. Stepping out from the layers of biscuit shields, Katakuri's gaze was unwavering, filled with confidence and an unyielding spirit. Oh? Across the battlefield, powerhouses like Garp, Sengoku, Zephyr, Edward, Shiki, Linlin, John, Wang Zi, and Silver Axe all took notice of Katakuri's movement. Linlin smiled with satisfaction. The man with the fox mask said coldly, not planning to retreat, huh? Katakuri gripped his trident tightly. Running away would be disgraceful. Willow Machi. With those words, Katakuri launched his attack. His eyes glowed with a crimson light, his legs coiling with armament hockey as he struck with terrifying force. The fox-masked man didn't take him lightly. Machi thrust. His trident spun like a deadly drill, the force behind it immense. Katakuri's onslaught continued relentlessly. Machi blade bullet. His right hand became a high-speed drill, while his left turned into hardened Machi, reinforced with armament hockey. He struck from both sides, leaving himself completely exposed in the process. The fox-masked man sneered. You're courting death. Yet, just as his opponent moved to counter, Katakuri's body suddenly became intangible. A loud roar erupted from Katakuri. Don't underestimate me. Big brother said I'm the pillar of our family. Everyone else can lose, but not me. My siblings are counting on me. This was Katakuri's unwavering conviction. He would never falter. Buzz cut Machi. Katakuri dodged the fox-masked man's strike and went straight for the kill. His arm turned into a giant, spiky mochi club, coated in hockey, and smashed down hard. The guy got stuck to the sticky mochi, and before he could even blink, Katakuri's arm stretched into a massive mochi rod. He spun it around like crazy, then slammed the whole thing into the ground. Boom die. The battlefield echoed with a deafening impact. Even with his defenses, the fox-masked man couldn't escape unscathed. Breathing heavily, Katakuri stood tall, his resolve unshaken. Though Katakuri hadn't realized it himself, Joey knew, his brother had already broken through to the next level. Chapter 74, The Monster Charlotte Katakuri Crash. The fox-masked man, Fox, stood up from the rubble. However, it was obvious to anyone watching. His fury was blazing. Normally, as a member of CP0, he should remain absolutely calm. But right now, his eyes were burning with rage. This man was utterly furious. And it wasn't surprising. He might not be the most famous on the seas, but his strength was undeniable. Yet now, he had just been sent flying and coughing up blood, by some brat. It was an utter humiliation. A disgrace no strong warrior could ever accept. No matter how terrifying a fighter may be, every true warrior has their pride. How could he possibly accept such an outcome? Unlike Fox, who was burning with anger, Katakuri took a deep breath, regaining his usual composure. Joey had taught him well, rage could make one stronger. But, one must never be controlled by rage. Rage itself was a sin, and true strength lay in mastering it. The 7 deadly sins represented human weaknesses, and only by controlling them could one attain true power. Whoosh! In the next moment, Katakuri and Fox moved at the same time. But, the instant they clashed, Katakuri felt an overwhelming pressure. Now, Fox was showing his full power. The weight pressing down on him was immense. Flawless technique. Terrifying hockey. Vast battle experience. The combination of these three made the fox-masked man a formidable opponent, even without a powerful devil fruit. As they crossed paths, Katakuri narrowed his eyes and murmured, "Everything about him is near perfection." And his rage hasn't affected him at all. He is completely in control of it. Humphrey. Fox snorted coldly, gripping his eerie, flexible sword. Rage? Yes, he was angry. But he would never let it control him. That was the most basic requirement of CP0. Otherwise, as the shields of the celestial dragons, what if CP0 members lost control in battle and ended up killing the very nobles they were meant to protect? Mochi bullet. Katakuri didn't rush into close combat. Instead, he raised his arm, as if firing a gun. A bullet, infused with armament hockey, shot forward at lightning speed. Clang. Fox blocked it effortlessly and advanced. Unstoppable mochi bullet. Katakuri decided to keep his distance for now, strategizing how to win. His arm transformed into a Gatling gun. Tat tat tat. A storm of hockey-coated bullets rained down furiously. The mochi fruit. A Paramsha-type devil fruit, yet almost Logia-like in nature. Why was it considered a top-tier fruit? First, it could mimic Logia-like abilities such as elementization. Second, its versatility was unparalleled. With enough mastery, its power could reach terrifying levels. Faced with Katakuri's barrage, Fox Face found himself in a frustrating predicament. Damn it! Katakuri's armament hockey wasn't weak. It might not be the absolute best, but it was definitely far from weak. Taking the attacks head-on would be suicidal. As the bullets kept him at bay, Katakuri murmured, "How can I win? Armament hockey? Observation hockey? Physical strength? Combat experience? In every way, I'm at a disadvantage." Smack. At that moment, Katakuri felt a hand rest on his shoulder. For an instant, if it had been an enemy, he would have already been dead. But, the touch instantly calmed his heart. Because he knew whose hand it was. Wrapped in the power of the clear fruit, Joey patted Katakuri's shoulder and grinned. "Oi, brat. What the hell are you thinking about? Your armament hockey isn't strong enough? Your observation hockey isn't sharp enough? Your experience isn't enough? Your physical abilities aren't enough? Or are you just not strong enough overall?" Katakuri opened his mouth to reply, then closed it again. He couldn't afford to let his brother's presence be known. "Hey." Joey chuckled lightly. "Kid, stop overthinking. He's stronger than you because he's lived longer. But does that mean you can't beat him? Show your will. Use your full strength. Don't be afraid. Don't hesitate. Everything can be overcome, crush him." With that, Joey disappeared again. Smack. Katakuri felt the last reassuring pat on his shoulder. In that instant, a realization surged through him. That's right. I might be weaker in every way. But so what? I'll just have to make myself strong enough. His eyes gleamed with determination. Without hesitation, boom. Katakuri stomped the ground and charged forward. Burning mochi. His arm heated up, covered in searing steam and infused with armament haki, launching forward like a rocket. What the? Fox was momentarily stunned. But he quickly reacted, preparing to defend himself. Still, he was a fraction of a second too slow. And that was all it took. Burning Machi. Unstoppable Machi bullet. Boom. Under the watchful eyes of many, Katakuri unleashed an absolutely shameless fighting style. Seriously. Nobody expected this. Left hand, rocket launcher. Right hand, Gatling gun. Katakuri had basically turned into a walking weapons arsenal, bombarding the battlefield relentlessly. At that moment, Fox was beyond frustrated. What kind of nonsense was this? And the worst part? As time passed, Katakuri's attacks became sharper. More powerful. Fox wanted to curse out loud. You've got to be kidding me. Who the hell improves their armament haki mid-battle? But it was happening. As the fight dragged on, Katakuri's armament haki was growing stronger. Not just that, his observation haki was refining itself, allowing him to anticipate every one of Fox's movements. His attacks kept getting fiercer. At this moment, everyone watching noticed it. That brat is getting stronger. Is he a monster? He is improving while fighting? People couldn't help but voice their shock. Ah! Suddenly, Katakuri let out a terrifying roar. A strange sensation filled the air. Not good. Fox's expression changed instantly. But, he was already a step too late. Boom. Katakuri's Conqueror's haki exploded outward, pressing down on Fox. But, it lasted only for a fleeting moment. The next instant, the haki retracted, condensing entirely onto Katakuri himself. Edward, Shiki, and the others paused in shock. What was that? Even though it was still just a rough form, there was no mistaking it. Conqueror's haki. And that wasn't all. Katakuri's eyes gleamed red. This was just the beginning, but he was starting to see more. Then, bam. Bam. Two massive fists erupted from the ground, slamming straight into Fox. In that brief instant, rainfall machi. Katakuri launched another attack. His arm, now shaped like a giant spiked club, crashed down brutally. Boom. Like a watermelon splitting apart, Fox was instantly crushed to death. Huh? Katakuri panted heavily. Though everything seemed to play out over a long period, in reality, it had all happened in a flash. His eyes gleamed sharply. His presence, absolutely terrifying. Hey, did I succeed? With those final words, Katakuri collapsed unconscious. He had pushed his potential to the absolute limit, unleashing everything. Even though he had grown immensely, the strain was just as immense. And then, something strange happened. The moment Katakuri fell, his body vanished. Those who had sinister intentions lurking in their hearts suddenly lost their target. Edward muttered, "Did that brat just use Conqueror's haki?" Shiki added seriously, "It wasn't just that." In that instant, his observation haki must have glimpsed into the future. Silver Axe continued, and his final attack. That was Devil Fruit Awakening. Wangzi spoke calmly, even his armament haki advanced rapidly. The four exchanged glances and fell into silence. Because, this was terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. Katakuri, just 10 years old, and he had already touched the point of awakening. His armament haki, reaching a higher level. His observation haki, seeing the future. His Conqueror's haki, infusing into his attacks. Honestly, what Katakuri had grasped in this single battle was something that would take most people a lifetime to achieve. Yet, in just one battle, he had already formed the foundations. Even if it was just the beginning, if he continued down this path, he was bound to become one of the strongest in the world. In the original story, Luffy had similarly terrifying talent. Internal Destruction Armament Haki. Future Sight Observation Haki. Conqueror's Haki. Awakening his Devil Fruit, Luffy had mastered the full set. Inside the mirror world, Joey's lips curled into a grin. Joey chuckled, "That brat. He really is something else." Custard smiled, "Big brother Katakuri always makes everyone feel safe." Joey laughed, "Of course. He's Katakuri. He's the pillar of the family." Then, Joey had people carry Katakuri to a bed. In a mirror world, Joey had arranged for a castle to be built. A hidden trump card. The mirror world was their last line of defense. Here, it functioned almost like a separate dimension, or even a parallel universe. Meanwhile, outside, Mundi carefully moved across the battlefield using the clear fruit. Of course, with her level of strength, she would normally be detected. But, Joey had purchased a special artifact that completely erased all presence and fluctuations that he used before. This artifact lasted only 5 hours, but that was more than enough for this battlefield. At the same time, Compote and Cracker had arrived beside Linlin. "Mama. What about Katakuri?" Compote shook her head, "Don't worry. Katakuri is fine." Hearing that, The others weren't stupid, they immediately understood. Katakuri had been taken away. The combination of the mirror fruit and the clear fruit was unbelievably powerful. Everyone relaxed. Then, Compote continued, let's keep fighting. Use this chance to hone your skills. Yeah. Everyone nodded and jumped back into action. No one hesitated anymore. Even if they weren't as strong as Katakuri, they definitely weren't weak either. Besides, if their big brother was already making his move, they had to create an even fiercer battlefield. No way were they letting CP agents escape. Ikiku. Linlin swung Napoleon, her left hand crackling with lightning, her hair ablaze like fire. Her eyes gleamed with fury. You bastards dare lay a hand on my children? I'll slaughter you all. Thunderbolt. Heavenly fire. Her attacks were absolute devastation. Against the advancing CP agents, heaven's lightning and hell's flames erupted in a relentless storm. Chapter 75, Celestial Dragons? Kill them. Treasures? Take them. Boom. A deafening explosion echoed in the air. Mundi instinctively wanted to let out a deep breath, but halfway through, she forcibly held it back. Hee, Joey chuckled and said, Mundi, you silly girl. Don't worry. The concealment orb completely hides all presence, even sound. No matter what happens, we won't be detected. Mundi finally let out a sigh of relief and whispered, Big bro, do you think if I keep developing my clear fruit, I could achieve the same level of concealment? After witnessing the ability of the concealment orb, she couldn't help but have some ideas. Joey nodded without hesitation. Of course. The clear fruit is just the beginning. Invisibility isn't just about sight, you can make your presence, your breath, even your voice completely vanish. I understand. Mundi nodded seriously, setting a new goal in her heart. Having a goal was always a good thing. Step by step, Mundi cautiously moved forward. Before long, she had reached the depths of God Valley. And honestly, the deeper she went, the quieter everything became. In just a short time, it felt like the entire world had flipped upside down. Trash. Garbage. The arrogant voices filled the air, mixed with the sounds of wild revelry. Mundi shook her head. The Navy, Army, Air Force, and CP organizations were all out there fighting for their lives. And inside? The celestial dragons indulged themselves in every pleasure imaginable, without a care for the people outside. Clearly, to them, the ones fighting and dying outside were nothing more than insects. Expendable. Their deaths didn't matter in the slightest. Mundi soon found a secluded spot, making sure no one was around before pulling out a massive mirror. Carefully setting it in place, she examined her surroundings, then clicked her tongue in disbelief. Unbelievable. There's an enormous palace complex hidden in the depths of God Valley? It was hard to believe. This wasn't just a palace, it was an entire city of them, stretching beyond sight. At least 100 palaces, maybe even more. And at the very center of it all? A colossal coliseum. Right now, from within the coliseum, frenzied voices echoed. Kill. You worthless piece of trash. Is this all giants are capable of? You're just useless. A proper slave needs training, watch how I raise this Longa-Earn tribe slave. The voices of the celestial dragons rang out. Mundi could only shake her head. Snap. Joey stepped out from the mirror, smiling. Mundi, what do you think? Mundi shook her head. Big bro, it feels strange. Is this what power brings? Joey smiled. Exactly. This is what power grants you. Remember, having power lets you enjoy all of this. And those who hold both power and strength? They get even more. After a pause, Joey continued, alright, that's enough discussion. We're not here to talk about these so-called nobles. Let's move forward. Mundi nodded seriously. Joey then pulled out a strange vehicle-like device and placed the mirror on top of it. Mundi climbed on, and in an instant, the power of the clear fruit activated, making everything vanish. Combined with the concealment orb, all presence disappeared entirely. Using his great sword stand, Joey propelled the vehicle forward at high speed. After all, with his strength, this level of movement was effortless. Creak. A treasury door swung open. Gulp. Mundi wasn't unfamiliar with wealth, her own family was extremely rich. But, seeing the fortune inside this vault, she couldn't help but click her tongue. So this is the wealth of the celestial dragons? For a moment, Mundi was completely stunned. The sheer amount of gold and treasures was beyond belief. There had to be at least tens of billions of Baileys here. And this was just one celestial dragon's personal vault. Joey deactivated his invisibility and said calmly, everyone, start moving. Take everything. Yes. A horde of mafia members emerged from the mirror space. Joey had brought 500 mafia members with him. His goal was clear, to empty every last vault in the shortest time possible. The war outside? At most, it would last a few more days. And in that time, Joey planned to take as much wealth as possible. There was no room for carelessness. The Mafia swiftly loaded up the treasures. Custard, watching the operation, asked curiously, "Big bro, if we do this, what if?" Joey chuckled and explained, "Once we leave God Valley, even if someone recognizes these treasures, what can they do? Remember, kid, this is a disgrace to them. And no one wants to admit their own disgrace." Custard nodded thoughtfully. "I see." In just 30 minutes, the entire treasury had been emptied. The Mafia disappeared just as quickly as they had arrived. With this vault looted, it was time for the next one. For the next 2 days, the Charlotte family became professional treasure transporters. Right now, the Celestial Dragons were too busy in the Colosseum, drowning in their own madness. This gave the Charlotte family the perfect opportunity. After 2 full days, Joey had looted over 100 palaces. Every last treasure. Every last piece of wealth. All of it was stored safely inside the mirror world. Standing within the mirror dimension, Custard marveled, "There's just too much. So this is the wealth of the Celestial Dragons?" No wonder Big Bro said building Toto Land wouldn't be a problem. Katakuri agreed, "This is insane." So this is why Big Bro had to personally take part in the God Valley War. It was all for this. I don't know exactly what Toto Land need, but with this much wealth, it should be more than enough, right? At that moment, Joey's voice came from nearby. It's enough for phase 1. But later, we'll need even more. Huh? Katakuri and Custard stared in shock. Even with all this, it still wasn't enough? Seriously? They had no idea exactly how much treasure they had collected. But from gold and silver to rare artifacts, legendary swords, priceless materials, and even powerful weapons, there was no end to it all. Not to mention, Joey had also rescued thousands of slaves from various races. Over 7,000 of them, all with at least some level of combat ability. They weren't weaklings. Yet despite all this wealth and manpower, their Big Bro still said it was only enough for phase 1? Yeah. Joey sighed, this should be enough to build the first 36 islands. But Kinko Island, Komugi Island, Tanga Island, and Yakigashi Island? Those 4 alone already drained all of the Charlotte family's wealth. We even had to start borrowing money. What? The siblings were completely dumbfounded. Wasn't the family ridiculously rich? The Charlotte family was insanely rich, practically rolling in money. They were like a bunch of nouveau riche maniacs, weren't they? Thanks to the gene fruit, the Charlotte family had accumulated an absolutely terrifying amount of wealth. And yet, just 4 islands had already drained it all. At that moment, the siblings felt like someone had to be messing with them. But Joey remained calm and said, "This isn't a joke. In fact, this is just the first phase of basic construction. We haven't even touched the larger scale projects that come later. You'll understand when you see it for yourselves." "Alright. Got it." Both of them nodded, still confused, unsure what to even say. Hey, Joey chuckled and shook his head. "Don't worry too much about it. At first, I didn't have such big plans either. But later on, when Mom said she wanted to build a whole country, Toto Land, if we were going to create a country, then we had to make it the best one possible." The siblings nodded repeatedly. What could they even say? That was just how their big brother was. They were already used to it. Charlotte Joey. The eldest son of the Charlotte family. The head of the family. Kind-hearted, incredibly capable, and widely respected. You could say Joey was the perfect older brother and an ideal family leader. No matter what role he took on, he carried it out flawlessly. But Joey did have a few quirks. First, he was a hoarder. He loved collecting rare and exotic beasts, as well as rare and unique plants. Second, he was a perfectionist. If he didn't care about something, he'd leave it alone. But if he did decide to do something, it had to be absolutely perfect. On a small scale, he even micromanaged his siblings' appearances. On a larger scale, everything had to be done to perfection. But really, that was just their big brother for you. After some brief discussion, they got back to work. From start to finish, the looting operation lasted 4 whole days. Who knew how much fun the Celestial Dragons had been having? They were so engrossed in their games that they hadn't even noticed what was happening outside. In fact, the Celestial Dragons had spent all 4 days playing in the Colosseum. Finally, Mundi returned to the mirror world, wiping the sweat from her forehead. With a sigh of relief, Mundi reported, "Big bro. We cleared out all 173 palaces. Every single one has been looted clean. Also, I noticed that a lot of the palaces were completely unoccupied. They must have belonged to former Celestial Dragons." Hearing Mundi's report, Joey mused, that means the celestial dragons must have other gathering places or additional palaces somewhere else. Huh? The three siblings froze. Joey continued, think about it, how many celestial dragons have existed over the past 800 years? If each one had a palace, then 173 is way too small a number. This means God Valley isn't just a single island, it must be a whole cluster of islands, all referred to as God Valley. That. Joey's reasoning made perfect sense. The three siblings thought it over carefully and realized he was absolutely right. Then, Joey shook his head and said, alright, let's not dwell on this for now. It's not the most important thing. Next, we need to clean out the Colosseum, that's where the real treasure is, along with a variety of slaves. The three siblings nodded in agreement. Castod asked, Big Bro, what about the celestial dragons? The celestial dragons? Joey answered casually, of course, we kill them. They're trash. Killing them is no big deal. More importantly, we need to handle everything else properly. Understood. The three siblings nodded seriously, ready to act. A gentle breeze blew, carrying eerie wisps of green smoke throughout the Colosseum. Joey had purchased sleeping gas for this very moment. As for its effects, if someone was completely unguarded, they'd be knocked out cold for 3 days straight. 3 days was more than enough time. After 10 minutes, Joey and his people strolled into the Colosseum without a care. The celestial dragons, their guards, the slaves, the beasts, every single one of them had passed out. Joey nodded in satisfaction. Kill all the celestial dragons and their guards. Take any non-human slaves with us. As for the beasts, keep the rare and exotic ones. Kill the rest. Yes, sir. The mafia members immediately sprang into action. This 4-day looting operation was finally coming to an end. But it wasn't just Joey's side wrapping things up. Outside, the battle between the two warring factions was also reaching its conclusion. The war had raged for 5 whole days, but now it was finally nearing its end. Joey remained calm about the whole reaping the spoils situation. After all, if these treasures were just going to end up in the celestial dragon's hands, why not take them for himself instead? Building Tato land required a fortune, after all. Chapter 76, The Roger Pirates joined the battle. They plundered all the treasures of God Valley. They took every single devil fruit. They freed all slaves and took the enslaved non-human races. Still, Joey remained cautious. He continued using the concealment orb. And then, they calmly left, just like that. To put it bluntly, from start to finish, in just 4 days, while the outside world was engulfed in an intense battle, inside, Joey had completely looted the celestial dragons. Nearly 70 of them were killed by the Charlotte family. What happens next after this war ends? No one knows. But one thing is certain, the truth about God Valley will never spread. If the 5 elders were to let such a destabilizing event leak, they'd be complete fools. Mundi blinked and said playfully, this feels kinda weird. We pulled off something this huge, yet nothing happened, and we just strolled out of there? At that moment, they had already returned to the ship, Queen Mama Chanter. Unlike Joey and Custard, who were still hiding in the mirror world, observing the battle outside, Kitakuri and Mundi were standing right on the deck. The two of them, completely dumbfounded. Who am I? Where am I? What the hell did I just do? Everything had been way too easy. Thanks to their big brother's flawless plan, everything had been handled effortlessly. And maybe. Mundi shook her head silently, deciding not to say anything more. Just then, Compote, Cracker, Hashi, and Effie returned to the Queen Mama Chanter. As well. As soon as they got back on board, Compote asked, Kitakuri, how's your body holding up? Kitakuri smiled. Don't worry, Compote Nay, I'm fine. Hearing that, everyone finally breathed a sigh of relief. As long as he was okay, nothing else mattered. Cracker leaned in and asked in a low voice, Mundi Nay, what about that matter? Mundi didn't say much. With just a single nod, everyone understood exactly what had happened. Kitakuri then asked seriously, what's the current situation on the battlefield? To be honest, none of them dared to let their guard down. It felt like carrying a huge sum of money while walking down the street. They weren't paying attention to anything else, just feeling extremely on edge. That was exactly their situation right now. But now, they could finally relax a little and start asking about the battlefield. Hashi reported, as of now, the Rocks Pirates have the upper hand. The Navy, Army, Air Force, and CP agencies have joined forces, but they're still being overwhelmed. Effie scoffed, well, duh. Aside from the Navy, the rest of them are basically just watching the show. Or rather, the strength they've put into this fight is nothing to speak of. In that case, how could they possibly be a match for the Rocks Pirates? Everyone considered the situation carefully. What would the outcome of this battle be? After all, the entire plan hinged on the Rocks Pirates losing. But what if, even though it was just a possibility, what if the Rocks Pirates actually won? That would be a bit awkward. However, before they could overthink it, Joey's calm voice rang in their ears through the family crest. You brats are only seeing the surface. Look closely, do you really think the situation is as it seems? Huh? Hearing Joey's words, everyone froze for a moment and focused on the battlefield. Then, they suddenly realized, something didn't seem right. Indeed, at first glance, the Rocks Pirates had the advantage. But it wasn't an overwhelming one. The Army and Air Force were mostly there for training, so they weren't fighting desperately. The CP agents? They were just throwing in a few punches and calling it a day, not seriously committing to the battle. Meanwhile, Big Mom, Shiki, Whitebeard, and the others, they were just stalling. Not defeating their opponents, but also not being defeated. Joey's voice continued, echoing in their minds, oftentimes, rulers aren't truly acknowledged by those they govern. This world is ruled by warlords, each of them a powerful force. Do you think they're really willing to submit to just one man? Hee, Joey chuckled. Think carefully about that. Everyone fell into a brief silence. Then, they all nodded in understanding. Just as their big brother had said, would they really accept such an outcome? If Rocks actually took over the world, the consequences would be completely different. That was the most crucial point. No one wanted another king above their heads, right? Everyone craved power. Everyone feared submission. Joey continued, this war, Rocks is doomed to lose. Even if he has the power to win, his own people won't want him to. And besides, he paused briefly before chuckling. The ones who'll change the tide of this battle are here. Swoosh. Everyone suddenly heard the sound of an approaching pirate ship slicing through the waves. The Oro Jackson. A ship infamous across the seas. Because, it carried some of the most legendary pirates. The Roger Pirates. A crew with relatively few members, yet possessing terrifying strength. At its helm, Goldie Roger. One of the few who never swore allegiance to the Rocks Pirates. Yet renowned across the Grand Line. Ha 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 ha. Roger stood at the bow, laughing excitedly. Oi? You guys sure are something. A battle this big, and you didn't even invite me? Standing beside him, Silver's Rayleigh and Skoppergaben. Roger's right and left-hand men. Rayleigh grinned. Roger, you better be careful. Your opponents aren't weak. Gaben smirked. We're talking about the infamous Rocks Pirates here. One wrong move, and you're dead. Hee, Roger chuckled sinisterly. Of course, I know that. Boom. He stomped on the deck and shot into the air. In midair, his gaze suddenly paused. The Queen Mama chanter. Roger's eyes locked onto the ship. With his unique ability to hear the voice of all things, he sensed an unusual presence. Even though he hadn't yet seen who it was, Roger was staring at Joey. And Joey was staring back at Roger. For just a fleeting moment. Then, Roger dived into the battlefield. To outsiders, it only seemed like he had glanced at Katakuri, once again reinforcing the belief that Katakuri was a terrifyingly talented young pirate. Gorura, Whitebeard laughed. Roger, you really showed up, huh? Jaya ha ha ha, Shiki sneered. Roger, you bastard. Took your sweet time, huh? Here to pick up the spoils? Ha! Roger smirked. Don't lump me in with you guys. I'm not here to scavenge, I'm here to crush Rocks. That man is in my way. He slowly drew his sword. Roger's gaze locked onto Rocks. After 4 days of battle, even Rocks wasn't unscathed. He was covered in injuries. Which was to be expected. In a battlefield like this, no one could escape unscathed. Huh? Rocks sneered. Goldie Roger. You want to fight me? Roger nodded without hesitation. That's right. Rocks Dzeblik. You stand in my way. And I'm here to take you down. The battlefield fell silent. After all, the Roger Pirates were known for their elite strength. Their arrival changed everything. Meanwhile, in the mirror world, Joey murmured, just as I thought. The Rocks Pirates aren't just a threat to the world government. They're a threat to all pirates. Even Roger has stepped up to face him. The tallest nail gets hammered down first. Everyone understood that principle. Rocks was that nail. Though he was strong, the problem was, his foundation was already crumbling from within. With enemies inside and out, his defeat and death were inevitable. It didn't matter if he was at Silver Rank 5 or pushed himself to Silver Rank 7. Even at Silver Rank 9, he was doomed. Unless Rocks could display power at the Gold rank. That would be a true transformation. If that happened, he could turn the tide of battle. Otherwise, his fate was already sealed. Joey whispered, this battle is over. It's time to witness the fall of a legend. Clang. Roger tightened his grip on his sword, eyes locked onto rocks. At the same time, another figure approached. Despite his terrifying injuries, his presence remained just as overwhelming. Monkey D. Garp. A Vice Admiral of the Marines. A monster among men, his strength in this war was undeniable. Roger glanced at him. Garp. I have no intention of teaming up with you against rocks. Garp scoffed. Not interested? Then do you think I'm? Just don't care about me. Silence fell over the battlefield. Hearing Garp's words, everyone smirked. Honestly, Garp, who was usually so straightforward, actually said something like that. It was clear, Roger's antics had ticked him off. It didn't matter whether they were Marines or pirates. Right now, they all shared one common goal, to bring down rocks. That was the only thing that mattered. He. Clang. Together, Roger and Garp stepped toward rocks. At that moment, the battlefield fell into a deep silence. All fighting ceased. Every eye turned to the three men at the center. Whitebeard murmured, Captain Rocks has already lost. Shiki smirked. Well, time to start thinking about how I'm gonna build my own crew. I won't make the same mistakes as Captain Rocks. John, Wang Zi, and Silver Axe said nothing. They had nothing to say. Because, honestly, how many in the Rocks pirates were truly loyal to Rocks? None. Not a single one. The entire crew had been forcefully united under Rocks through sheer power, held together by wealth and dominance. Strength and riches were his means of control. And men like Whitebeard, Big Mom, Shiki, John, Wang Zi, and Silver Axe? They all had conqueror's hockey. They all had ambition. There was no way they'd willingly bow to another forever. Impossible. Did Rocks know that? Of course he did. That's exactly why he started the God Valley War. He intended to use them until their value was drained. Unfortunately, the outcome was far from what he had planned. Everything turned out differently. And now, the battle had reached its climax. Gal D. Roger. Monkey D. Garp. Rocks D. Zebek. Three men who bore the will of D, known as the enemies of the gods. And today, in a place ruled by the so-called gods, the celestial dragons, they clashed. Perhaps, no one ever expected this moment to happen. But it was happening. Right here, before everyone's eyes. Chapter 77, The Fall of a Legend. Roger and Garp joined forces against Rocks. This battle, it was the most intense, the most unimaginable fight on the entire battlefield. The Navy and pirates working together? No one had ever thought such a thing was possible. Joey looked at the battlefield, suddenly finding the situation amusing. I wonder, did the 7 warlords of the sea exist because of this battle? Custard asked curiously, Big Bro. What did you say? Joey shook his head. Nothing, just talking to myself. Oh. Custard nodded obediently, not asking any further, instead focusing on the battle before them. Boom. The fierce battle raged on. Ha. With a powerful shout, Garp clenched his fists and slammed them down like a pile driver, unleashing devastating force. Boom. 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 The battlefield echoed with deafening roars. In just a short moment, an overwhelming power erupted. Every punch had the strength to split mountains and shatter stone. Humphrey. Rocks sneered, unfazed. Garp, you brat. You're still too weak. Do you really think you can defeat me with this? Facing Garp's iron fists, Rocks countered with even greater power. Fist met fist in a brutal clash. Bang. In the end, Rocks sent Garp flying with sheer force. Boom. A thunderous crash resounded. Everyone watched the battle in awe. Katakuri muttered, is he no match for him? Indeed. At this moment, it seemed like Garp and Roger weren't on the same level as Rocks. To Katakuri, the outcome was already clear, Rocks was bound to lose. Even though he understood from his brother's words that the result was inevitable, no matter what happened. In the end, Rocks had blocked the path of too many people. With so many forces against him, his survival was impossible. No one would let him live. But the real problem was, Garp and Roger weren't strong enough to defeat Rocks. That was the key issue. Ah! Garp roared as he climbed out of the crater, his fury exploding. At the same time, he exchanged a look with Roger. They nodded in silent agreement. And then, they attacked together. At an incredible speed, the duo launched a terrifying assault. Their teamwork was flawless, as if they had trained for this moment all their lives. You might wonder why Sengoku and the others weren't joining in. The truth was, Edward and the other captains still had their pride. They could hold back, but they wouldn't let the Navy gang up on their captain. Even if they were to break away in the future, such an act would be utterly disgraceful. The three-way battle had now reached its peak. This time, even for Rocks, defeating these two wouldn't be easy. Ha! Black hole. Rox spread his arms wide, unleashing a bottomless darkness that threatened to swallow everything. John narrowed his eyes. So this is the infamous dark fruit, known as the most wicked devil fruit? Wangzi stroked his beard and nodded. Indeed. I never expected Captain Rox to be a devil fruit user, let alone possess the dark fruit. Why was it called the most wicked devil fruit? The reason was simple. It allowed the user to hunt down other devil fruit wielders. By killing a fruit user, the power could be extracted and transferred. Whether it was to make others into ability users or something else entirely, it was a terrifying ability. Not to mention, the destructive power of the dark fruit was beyond imagination. Gee ha 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 ha, Shiki hovered in the air, laughing. Captain Rox is even revealing his trump card. Looks like this battle, which has lasted 4 days, and the earlier fights against Steelbone, Byako, and Karasu, have really pushed him to the limit. Undeniably, Rox had a unique way of enhancing his strength. Even if it seemed cost-free, was it really without a price? At the very least, the toll on his stamina must have been enormous. From beginning to end, he had fought for 4 straight days. And before that, he had battled against the former 3 admirals. Even for Rox, his endurance was reaching its limit. Battle after battle, clash after clash, the intensity only grew. Garp and Roger, their combined strength was finally starting to match Rox. From being completely suppressed to fighting on equal ground. The tide of battle had shifted. Everyone was taken aback by the turn of events. Edward remained silent, watching the battlefield closely. Silver Axe approached him. Whitebeard, what's on your mind? Edward shook his head. Nothing. Just thinking how even a monster like Captain Rox is gradually meeting his end. Is there really anyone who can rule the world forever? Humphrey. Silver Axe snorted arrogantly. Of course. The future will belong to others. Clearly, Silver Axe had his own ambitions. Apart from Edward, who never took things seriously as a pirate, everyone else, including Linlin, had once harbored ambitions of world domination. However, Linlin's reason was different. She wanted to build Todo Land, and conquering the entire world would essentially make it her ideal land. That was her original plan, until Joey changed her mind. Honestly, his mother's idea was way too bizarre. It was better to change it sooner rather than later. Edward, however, shook his head and said, the era of Captain Rox will inevitably come to an end. And what about the new era? Even if a new age dawns, it will eventually fall as well. Everything has its time, sooner or later, it all fades away. That's the only truth. Sometimes, isn't that just how things work? Humphrey. Silver Axe scoffed and walked away. Like hell he listened to such talk. Haha. Edward chuckled softly, shaking his head. There was no point in arguing. The truth wasn't always what people wanted to hear. But still. Edward's gaze shifted to the Queen Chanter, where Linlin sat with Kitakuri and her children, watching the battle unfold. Edward pondered, that crazy woman. No. That brat named Charlotte Joey. What is he really thinking? Is he truly not here? Considering that possibility, Edward found himself unable to be certain. A battlefield like this, would the kid really not show up? Besides, Charlotte Amant was missing. The Charlotte family was acting strangely. Something's not right. Edward muttered. Just what are they up to? He shook his head. There was no time to dwell on it. Right now, the battle was all that mattered. Rox. Garp. Roger. Their fierce clash continued. Blood and sweat mixed together. Fists and blades clashed. This fight would end in death. As time passed, 1 day, 3 days, 5 days, 10 days. The battle had raged for 10 whole days and nights. Everyone could feel it. Both sides had reached their limits. It seemed as though the smallest movement could cause either side to collapse. Yet, they still stood firm on the battlefield. No one knew what kept them going. Perhaps, this was the perseverance of the strong. A terrifying persistence. An overwhelming power. They clashed over and over again. Even with bodies covered in wounds, neither side would fall. But, anyone with eyes could see it. Rox was doomed to lose. Sigh. Joey let out a deep sigh. Rox Dzeblik. Such a legendary figure, and yet in the end, he lost to his own body. How pathetic. Yes. Rox had lost. He truly had. But. Not because of Garp and Roger teaming up. He lost to his own body. Call it fate, or just dumb luck. Just like how Roger became Pirate King but was doomed by an incurable disease. Just like how Edward later reached his physical limits and eventually fell. Rox was the same. His body had reached its breaking point. His body and mind were no longer in sync. It was clear to see. Rox hadn't completely broken down yet, but he was damn close. At this point, everyone knew it. Rox had lost. But not simply because of Garp and Roger. Both men stood there, panting heavily, staring at the still-standing but barely conscious man before them. They exchanged a glance. Galaxy impact. Kamuzari. Divine departure. Both attacked at once, their combined power crashing down. Boom. A massive shockwave spread outward. But it wasn't over. The battle raged on. Even though Rox had lost. Even though he had reached his limit. But this man wouldn't fall so easily. He was Roxy Zebek, the undisputed ruler of this era. The man who dared to raise his blade against the celestial dragons. A man like that, how could he possibly lose so easily? That was impossible. Ah! Devouring void. With a furious roar, Rox spread his arms wide. His entire body transformed into a massive, all-consuming void. He was ready to devour everything. And with this final move, the battle began to reach its inevitable conclusion. Joey shook his head. It's over. The system's notification was more accurate than anything else. Rox's power had dropped again and again. Now, he was only at silver level 2. And Garp and Roger? Even though they were battered and bruised, they had surpassed their own limits. Now, both were at silver level 4. The tides had completely turned. Meanwhile, Custard had already passed out from exhaustion. After all, she was just a child. A 10-day, 10-night battle? No way she could stay awake through that. Sensing Joey's movement, Custard sleepily opened her eyes and mumbled, "Big brother. Is the fight over?" Joey sighed. "Yeah. It's over. The legend has fallen. And next, comes a new era. An era for everyone. An era that belongs to the Charlottes." Pa. Pa. With a final battle cry, Roger and Garp struck Rox with their ultimate attacks. And at last, with this final blow, Rox's movements ceased. His head lowered. His heart and chest, both pierced by a fist and a blade. Hey. Hey. In his final moments, Rox chuckled weakly. What an ironic sight. A pirate and a marine working together. And in the end, I fell at the hands of 2Ds. How laughable. With one last deep look at his two opponents, he slowly closed his eyes. And thus, a legend fell. Chapter 78, Technological and Magical Country. Silence. Utter silence. Everyone was trapped in this overwhelming stillness. Some seemed like they wanted to speak. Yet at the same time, it felt like there was nothing left to say. Gasp, huff, huff. Roger and Garp were both panting heavily, their breaths ragged and uneven. Lifting his hand, Garp roared at the top of his lungs, "The war is over. We won. Row. Vice Admiral Garp. Vice Admiral Garp. A hero. A true hero." Deafening cheers erupted as countless Marines bellowed in triumph. Every single one of them gazed at Garp with pure admiration. This man. He was simply too powerful. He had led them to victory. Against that man. The man known as Roxy Zebek. But even as cheers filled the air, a strange unease settled over some of those present. Ow! Roger groaned, grimacing in pain as Rayleigh carried him over his shoulder. Rayleigh chuckled. Our captain really knows how to cause trouble, huh? Shut up, Rayleigh. Roger grumbled, leaning against him for support. Ha ha ha. The Roger pirates burst into laughter, their spirits high despite their wounds. Though it had been 2 against 1. A win was a win. Was it an unfair victory? Does it count? That's just how the world always works. Resting a hand on Rayleigh's shoulder, Roger sighed. All right, time to go. Rayleigh nodded. Yeah, we should leave. However, standing in their path were 2 imposing figures. Edward Newgate and Shiki. Rayleigh narrowed his eyes. Whitebeard, Golden Lion. Are you 2 planning to stop us? In an instant, the Roger pirates tensed, ready for another fight. But Roger simply lifted his head weakly and smiled. Edward and Shiki exchanged glances before stepping aside. The other pirates in their ranks only cast Roger a brief look before allowing them to leave. Clatter, the Roger pirates departed. And not just them. One by one, others began to withdraw. Edward, Shiki, and the remnants of the Rox pirates. Even Charlotte Lillian, along with her children, quietly left. Soon enough, the battlefield emptied, leaving only the deranged and bloodthirsty remnants of Rox forces behind. Roar. Kill them all. Though Rox was dead, these pirates, driven mad by battle, had lost all sense of reason. They had only one goal now, to slaughter every last Marine. Sengoku's expression remained cold as he issued his order. Exterminate every last one of them. No survivors. Yes, sir. For justice. The Marines launched a decisive assault. With the core of the Rox pirates gone, the remaining enemies were nothing more than rabble. They stood no chance. Let's go. Yeah. The CP agents, seeing that the battle was effectively over, began heading toward the rear of God Valley. But the moment they arrived, something felt off. An eerie silence greeted them. Their expressions darkened. Blood was everywhere. Corpses littered the ground. The bodies of the celestial dragons lay strewn across the Colosseum, their grotesque deaths contrasting sharply with the almost celebratory atmosphere lingering in the air. The joy of countless enslaved souls who had perished in this very arena. At that moment, every CP agent knew. The Battle of God Valley was over. But what came next would be far worse. The wrath of the world government. And no one knew who would bear the brunt of it. Meanwhile, in the mirror world, everyone stared, mouths agape. The sheer amount of treasure before them was unimaginable. Unfathomable. Hashi rubbed her neck, still struggling to believe what she was seeing. Sister Mundi, Sister Amand. Are you telling me this is really the treasure we looted from the celestial dragons? Not quite. Amand shook her head. This is just a fraction of it. About 1/10. 1/10? Compote and Cracker were at a complete loss for words. They wanted to curse, but they didn't even know where to start. Before them stood a literal mountain of treasure, gold, jewels, priceless artifacts, and it was only 10% of the haul? Evely muttered in disbelief, I can't even comprehend this. Is this really the wealth of the celestial dragons? Compote nodded. If we have this much money, doesn't that mean our Charlotte family is set for life? But the moment she said that, silence fell over the room. Mundi, Amand, Kitakuri, and Custard all looked at her. Compote blinked. What? Did I say something wrong? Mundi coughed awkwardly. Compote. According to Big Brother, this treasure is barely enough to construct some islands of Tato land. What? Compote was stunned. Cracker couldn't help but grumble. I thought we were just building a country. Why does it sound like we're constructing some kind of godly, sky-soaring island-like vessel? Kitakuri walked over, holding a large blueprint. Take a look at this. It's the design for the future Tato land. Everyone crowded around. Their eyes widened. Kitakuri explained, according to Big Brother, all 36 islands need to be rebuilt. And the materials we bought. Those are just the basic components for setting up a proper formation. Wait. What? Cracker frowned, scanning the materials list. There's that much treasure tree atom. What the hell are we building, a floating fortress? Custard tilted her head. Big Brother said these are the most suitable materials. Mundi nodded. And that's just the first layer of construction. Everyone was flipping through the blueprints now, taking in the absurdly grand designs. Battle-ready, fortified, luxurious. Each island was practically a self-sustaining stronghold. Compote muttered, even the celestial dragons' palaces don't compare to this. Custard agreed. You're right. We saw their palaces firsthand, and they're nothing compared to this. Amand pointed at the designs. Big Brother also planned for population control. The core islands will only house around 100,000 people each. Compote frowned. But didn't the Hyuga kingdom offer to send us 1 million fishmen and 100,000 merfolk? Hearing this, Kitakuri stepped in to explain, the plan is like this, the 100,000 people will be distributed across 36 core islands. Then, there are also 72 outer islands, where the excess population will be settled. Mundi nodded. That's pretty much how it is. But still, what exactly is Big Brother planning? No idea. Totally clueless. Everyone looked at each other in confusion. Then, tap, tap, tap. The sound of footsteps echoed as Joey walked over. Seeing his siblings looking so lost, he smiled warmly and said, it's actually quite simple. Tato land won't just be a country in the future, I want to turn it into something godlike. Godlike? Everyone was stunned, staring at Joey in shock. Joey smiled and continued, once Tato land is fully built, the 36 core islands will be perfected in every aspect. Then, we'll add formations, advanced structures, and, most importantly, blend science, magic, chakra, and others to forge a new path forward. To be precise, this would be a technological and magical divine country. A country that seamlessly combines advanced technology with magic. Whoa! Compote exclaimed in shock. Big Brother, why go this far? What's your real goal? Clearly, everyone was curious now. Looking at his wide-eyed siblings, Joey chuckled and nodded. Since you all want to know. Well, the timing is just right, so I'll tell you. Our future enemies won't just be from this world. The enemies on this ocean? They're nothing more than stepping stones. Our true future lies beyond, in the endless multiverse. Huh? Everyone froze. Having grown up under Joey's teachings, his younger siblings knew exactly what he meant. But still, all this time, they thought their big brother was just joking around. Could it be? Was all of it real? As Joey scanned their confused faces, he spoke again. Tell me, have I ever lied to you? Silence. Remember this, aim higher. We won't just conquer this ocean, we'll conquer everything that lies beyond. Tato land will be our divine country, and its foundation must be as perfect as possible. Hearing Joey's words, for a moment, everyone was speechless. Then, excitement filled their eyes. Cracker was the first to shout, "Big brother! When do we start?" Smack. Joey smacked him on the head and scolded, "You brat! You haven't even learned to walk, and you're already thinking about flying? The Charlotte family has just started. But don't rush, our future is set in stone. One day, the Charlotte family and Tato land will stand above all dimensions, the strongest force in the multiverse." Roar. His siblings let out thunderous cheers, their blood boiling with excitement. Chapter 79, Hukinazu treasures tilting her head. Akangakubo. Momo seemed confused. More than 10 years had passed. Yet, she remained unchanged. Obviously. In many ways, she was different now. In fact, as long as one was shielded by the family system, lifespan no longer mattered. It was an entirely different form of immortality, an incredibly terrifying ability. Even a completely useless person could live indefinitely as long as the family didn't fall. But if the family were to collapse, even a warrior as strong as a crystal tier expert would drop dead instantly. That was the biggest drawback. Joey noticed Akangakubo Momo's curious expression and chuckled. "Momo, what are you thinking about?" she asked with curiosity. "Chief, why are you telling them all this now? Isn't it too soon?" Joey shook his head. "Not at all. These brats have great talent, but their biggest issue is their narrow vision. Their horizons need to expand, it's crucial for their growth." Momo shook her head, still not quite understanding. "Oh well, I don't really get it. I'll just sit back and wait for the future to unfold." Joey smiled warmly. "Of course. As the head pastry chef of the Charlotte family, it's only natural that you'll be one of us, right? Is that so?" "Without a doubt." He. Both of them smiled. Time had a way of smoothing everything out. Momo thought this life wasn't too bad. Sure, she had lost everything from her past. But at least she didn't have to worry about the family's growth anymore. She only needed to focus on improving her cooking skills. Joey didn't care about anything else. As long as one's culinary skills were exceptional, nothing else mattered to him. Joey squinted and thought for a moment. "Momo, as the head pastry chef, you're definitely understaffed. Looks like I need to buy another batch of chefs from that chef clan leader." Momo tilted her head. "The director? Chief, knowing his personality, if we don't offer a worthy price, he definitely won't give up his chefs." Joey nodded. "True. That man has spread Tatsuki Academy across countless worlds. Nowadays, many people enjoy the food from Tatsuki, and the revenue it generates is enormous." Momo was puzzled. Then, "Chief, do you have a plan?" Joey smiled. "Of course. No one can resist the power of a devil fruit, it's the embodiment of natural law itself." Momo was stunned for a moment. He was right. No one could resist the power of a devil fruit. It was a fragment of the world's fundamental laws. Joey suddenly asked, "Momo, as a pastry chef, the most important ingredient for you is cream, right?" She thought for a moment. "Yes. As long as the cream is perfect, I can create any kind of dessert." Snap. Joey casually tossed a devil fruit in front of her and walked away without looking back. "A paransha type. Cream fruit. I was originally saving this for a minister, so don't disappoint me, Momo." With that, Joey vanished. Momo stared at the devil fruit on the ground, completely shocked. Slowly, she picked it up. Then, bite by bite, she ate the entire fruit. The doll-like head pastry chef had a beautiful smile on her face. The moment she finished eating the fruit, whoosh! Everyone nearby suddenly snapped back to attention. Compote wasted no time, grabbing Momo in excitement. "Chef Momo! Chef Momo! Does this mean your desserts will taste even better now?" Momo hesitated for a second. "Once I get used to the fruit, I think so." "That's amazing." Before Momo could say anything else, Compote dashed away with her. "Hey! Stop right there. Compote, get back here. Big sis, we're gonna kill you for this." The Charlotte family was known for their strong bonds. But when it came to desserts, things got messy real fast. Sure enough, seeing Compote run off with Momo, chaos erupted immediately. He. Joey chuckled as he watched the commotion. Step. He entered the Mirror World Castle. Inside, he found his mother, Linlin, groggily waking up. Joey smiled warmly. "Mom, just woke up?" Linlin immediately perked up, happily hugging him. Joey. Mama loves you so much." "Mom." Joey struggled, exasperated. The problem was, even though he was just as strong as his mother, he couldn't match her raw power in a fight. Sigh. He sighed and gave up struggling. Mom, we're heading back home soon. Heading back? Linlin shook her head. No way. We need to go to Hikinazu, Beehive, first. Captain Rox left behind a massive treasure there, and we must take our share. Joey finally understood. So that's how it happened. In the original story, Big Mom's crew, Whitebeard's crew, and Shiki's crew all set sail immediately. After the fall of the Rox pirates, Linlin quickly established Hado Land. How did she do it? It must have been thanks to the treasure left behind by Captain Rox. With that treasure, she built her empire. Even though Joey already had an abundance of wealth. Who would ever complain about having too much treasure? Besides, family coins could be exchanged for gold, silver, and rare materials, but Joey saved them. Achievement points, on the other hand, were extremely costly. After all these years, Joey had accumulated 5,000 achievement points. Upgrading body refinement technique cost him 1,000 points, leaving him with only 4,000. And that already put him among the top 10 in terms of point accumulation. That translated to 40,000 family coins. It sounded like a high exchange rate, but in reality, it wasn't that simple. Achievement points were the omnipotent currency. With enough points, Joey could push body refinement technique to monstrous levels. He could even evolve Tato Land into a divine kingdom. Family coins were just a means of exchange between clan members. So naturally, collecting treasure was still necessary. And honestly, who would ever turn down more wealth? You couldn't just create valuable items out of thin air. Even if the strongest beings could do that, the system wouldn't recognize it. The system only acknowledged naturally formed treasures. According to the system, such treasures contained traces of the world's power, however faint. Unless one could create an entire world. But if someone was that powerful, would they even care about money anymore? Joey. Linlin shook him, unhappy that he was lost in thought. Joey sighed. Mom, what is it? Humphrey. She pouted. Joey, you're ignoring Mama. Spending time with me should be the most important thing, right? Joey smiled. Mom, I love being with you too. How about this? Once we return to Tato Land, you can stay as queen while Kitakuri becomes the captain of the Big Mom pirates. Linlin didn't even hesitate. No. No way. Absolutely not. Humphrey. She puffed out her cheeks, clearly displeased. If that happens. Then. What's the fun in that? I don't want to stay in Tato Land all the time. I want to be a pirate. Sailing the seas and having fun is way better. Joey smiled knowingly. See? You still love going out on adventures. Alright, let's not argue. If my calculations are right, we should be arriving at Hikinazu soon. Sure enough, Linlin's attention immediately shifted, and she ran off excitedly. Joey, on the other hand, sighed and sent out a message. Compote, Kitakuri, Cracker, you three, quit messing around and follow Mom to Hikinazu. Get our share of the treasure, but unless it's absolutely necessary, avoid conflict. There's no point in fighting right now. Got it, big bro? Understood, big bro. No problem, big bro. The three of them quickly got serious and sprang into action. Soon, everyone set sail toward Hikinazu alongside Linlin. Meanwhile, Joey remained in the mirror world, quietly contemplating. Whitebeard. Shiki. These guys are going to be the major players in the next era. If I can make good use of them. He narrowed his eyes slightly, a playful glint flashing in them. Sometimes, killing an enemy is meaningless. Controlling them, however. Now that's the real key. Or rather, turning them into unwitting tools, using them as weapons without them even realizing it. Joey smirked. Yeah. This is worth planning out properly. Hikinazu, the infamous pirate island Hikinazu was one of the most notorious pirate havens in the world. A bustling, chaotic island where countless pirates roamed, but still followed certain rules. In a way, it was just like the Sabati archipelago, a lawless gold mine where people went crazy over wealth and power. But no one dared to act recklessly here. Because once upon a time, this was Rox pirates' territory. And even now, the countless corpses scattered across the island were a grim reminder of what happened to those who stepped out of line. Humphrey. Cracker snorted, resting his giant sword on his shoulder. A bunch of weaklings. These idiots really thought they could fight Mom for the treasure? What a joke. He scoffed, glancing around at the countless fallen bodies littering the ground. None of them had been a match for him. More than that, the entire area was already covered in corpses. And aside from these random pirates, a few figures stood out among the crowd. Edward Newgate. Shiki. Wang Zi. Silver Acts. Captain John. The remaining veterans of the Rox pirates. They all stood there in silence, sizing each other up. He. Linlin let out a playful giggle. Whitebeard, Shiki. So, It's just a few of you, huh? What happened to the rest? Are they all dead? She wasn't wrong. Back in its prime, the Rocks Pirates had 20 officers. And now? Only 6 remained. As for Kaido? Hey. Don't make me laugh. Right now, Kaido was nothing more than an apprentice. He didn't even have the qualifications to stand here. And the biggest difference? Linlin never gave him the fish fruit model, Azure Dragon. Without that mythical zone devil fruit, who knew what path Kaido would take from here? Would the future 4 emperors still turn out the same? Maybe. Maybe not. One thing was certain, Kaido had insane potential. Even if he took a different route, he'd still become a top-tier powerhouse in the future. That much was undeniable. Even as a mere apprentice, Kaido had been called a monster on Rock's ship. Jahahaha. Suddenly, Shiki burst into laughter. Enough talk. No point in wasting time, we all know why we're here. We're here for Captain Rock's treasure. So, let's make it simple, how about we split it into 4 shares? Silence. Everyone froze for a moment. 4? What the hell did that mean? There were 6 people here. Why only 4 shares? Chapter 80, The Charlotte Family's Explosive Growth. Faced with everyone's confusion, Shiki remained calm and said, Crazy woman, Whitebeard, we each deserve a full share. As for you 3, John, Wang's, Silver Axe, do you really think you qualify for an equal cut? You should be grateful you're even getting a third of a share between the 3 of you. His words were spoken with such indifference that it only made things more infuriating. The expressions on everyone's faces darkened. Of course, the ones most affected were John, Wang's, and Silver Axe. Meanwhile, Linlin and Edward were just watching the show with amused expressions. Edward may have set sail for the sake of his family. But let's not forget, he was still a pirate. And as a pirate, wealth was something he absolutely desired. In the past, he hadn't cared about treasure because he saw the Rocks Pirates as his greatest treasure. But now, Edward had finally understood, family. The Rocks Pirates were nothing more than a bunch of power-hungry lunatics. They were never his real family. His true family was something he had to find and build for himself. And for that, he needed money. Linlin and Edward continued spectating. As for Compote, Kitakuri, and Cracker, they remained silent, watching with an air of detachment. After all, this matter didn't concern them, it was none of their business. The 3 brothers simply stood aside, letting the drama unfold. Finally, Wangzi spoke up. Fine. We'll split 1 share among the 3 of us. Shiki nodded calmly. Good. That makes things easier. With that settled, the group continued deeper into Hikinozu. This island had once been the stronghold of the Rocks Pirates. As they arrived at the central plaza, crack. Crack. Shiki activated a hidden mechanism. The ground trembled slightly before a massive underground vault surfaced. Shiki, unfazed, said, Inside this vault lies the treasure. Everyone takes a quarter. You can start collecting now. His tone was completely indifferent. The people here. As long as they played by the rules, things would go smoothly. But if anyone stepped out of line, then a full-scale war could break out at any moment. No one was foolish enough to let that happen. Soon enough, Edward took his share and left. John, Wangzi, and Silver Axe did the same, carrying their portion away. How they divided it among themselves was their own problem. Linlin, too, grabbed her treasure and left. Only Shiki remained behind. To be honest, he had some ideas about Hikinozu. But taking over this island alone was impossible. At most, he could leave behind a few hidden preparations. That way, in the future, reclaiming Hikinozu would be much easier. At the harbor, Linlin and her 3 children loaded all their treasure onto the ship. Clack. Footsteps echoed. Linlin turned sharply, grinning. Whitebeard. What do you want? Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr came to take a look. Take a look? Linlin gave him a skeptical glance. Then, without hesitation, she shut him down. Forget it. We're setting sail. If we meet again in the future, then maybe you can take a look. Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr Crazy woman, next time we meet, I hope I'll see the same brat from back then. As he said this, he took a long, deep look at the ship, Queen Chanter. Then, he turned and walked away. Splash. The Queen Chanter set sail. Aboard the ship Few. Cracker exhaled deeply, his voice still a bit nervous. For a second there, I thought, Cracker. Katakuri interrupted sternly. Not another word. Huh? Cracker was confused but not obediently. Soon, the group entered the ship's interior and stepped into the mirror world. As soon as they arrived, Cracker turned to Katakuri. Why didn't you let me finish? Katakuri's expression remained serious. Big brother Joey cannot get involved in the God Valley War. Not even the slightest trace of him can be revealed. Hukinazu is already a powder keg, with countless eyes watching. If Joey's presence is exposed, it could be disastrous. Oh, I see. Cracker finally understood and nodded. At that moment, Joey walked in, smiling. That's right. Katakuri is absolutely correct. He glanced at his younger siblings and continued, if I, the family leader, show up, the entire Charlotte family will be seen as just another pirate clan. That would make everything I've been planning meaningless. Everyone nodded in agreement. Still, why did Joey come here in the first place? The answer was simple. He didn't trust them. His younger siblings were still too inexperienced. And the Celestial Dragon's treasure was simply too enormous. Even if it was risky, he had to personally oversee things. Thankfully, everything went smoothly. All right. Joey said. Edward probably suspects something, but it doesn't matter. Whether he figures it out or not is irrelevant. He has no proof. Now, get some rest, you've all had a tough battle. Got it, big bro? Everyone nodded and returned to their cabins to rest. Only Joey, Amanda, and Custard remained awake. After all, the ship couldn't be left completely unguarded. That would be reckless. After everyone left, Joey sank into the sofa, deep in thought. It's time to start upgrading the family. That's the most important thing right now. Everything else? Meaningless. No matter how he looked at it, the Charlotte family's strength needed a major boost. For example, if every family member reached Silver Rank 3, Joey himself would be pushed up to Silver Rank 9. And even if he couldn't unleash his full power, he'd still be unbeatable. Right now, within the family, only Linlin was at Silver Rank 3. Katakuri was also at Silver Rank 1. But the others? Not strong enough. Joey narrowed his eyes, pondering. After a brief moment, he made a decision. First, boost their potential. After all, he had 300 aptitude pills. These pills could raise someone's potential up to Gold Rank 1, which was more than enough for now. Previously, he had used them to elevate Prospero, Compote, Daifuku, Oven, Amanda, Opera, Counter, Cadenza, Cabaletta, and Gala, 10 siblings, all reaching Gold Rank 1 in potential. Now, it was time to strengthen the rest. He started with Mundi, Hashi, and Defili, all at Silver Rank 1 potential, upgraded to Gold Rank 1 potential. Custard and Angel, both at Silver Rank 3 potential, upgraded to Gold Rank 1 potential. Next, it was Brule and Broey's turn. But something puzzled Joey. Broey had Silver Rank 3 potential, which was pretty good. But Brule? Only Bronze Rank 6. What the hell? Why is Brule's potential so low? That doesn't make sense. After all, they were twins. Yet their potential was worlds apart. Could it be that Broey absorbed most of the nutrients before birth? Considering this possibility, Joey muttered, is that really the reason? After a moment of thought, he stopped overthinking. Just boost her potential. No need to hesitate. As long as they were family, any investment in them was worth it. Thus, Brule and Broey were both upgraded to Gold Rank 1. After that, Joey continued upgrading his other younger siblings. Zakato went from Silver Rank 2 to Gold Rank 1. Nustort, Vaskart, and Dazmarka, triplet dwarves born with Silver Rank 4 potential, were all boosted to Gold Rank 1. Noiset was already Silver Rank 5 and also reached Gold Rank 1. Mash, Moscato, and Cornstarch, another set of triplets, were only at Bronze Rank 9, but he boosted them to Gold Rank 1 as well. Campo, Lauren, and Montanador, the 18th, 19th, and 20th children, all had Silver Rank 5 potential and were upgraded too. By the end, he had spent 149 potential pills, leaving him with 151 remaining. Not bad, he had only used about half. But now, Joey had another problem to consider. My siblings' potential is set. Next, we need training. I need someone to properly train these kids. This was a headache. Finding a qualified teacher wasn't easy. Especially for laying the foundation, martial arts, hockey, swordsmanship, shooting. They'd need exposure to all of it before finding their specialties. Not everyone was a freak like Luffy, who could brute force his way through anything and never die. Joey needed a proper training system. After all, there were many more siblings to come. He couldn't personally train all of them forever. Rubbing his temples, Joey muttered, this is really important. Besides boosting potential, I can't just force power onto them without proper training. Technically, he could just use achievement points to force power onto them. But, just like himself, possessing power didn't mean mastering it. And that was the real issue. Thinking about this, Joey mused, if possible, I should gather training manuals. Doesn't matter what kind, if I have achievement points, I can convert them into something useful. At that thought, a new idea came to mind. The body refining jutsu was good, but not perfect. It mainly focused on physical toughness, which wasn't enough. System. Joey asked, how many achievement points do I need to upgrade the body refining jutsu into a perfect physical refining jutsu? 3,000 achievement points. The upgraded technique will be called the body. It will refine the bones, muscles, skin, blood, marrow, and organs to absolute perfection. In other words, it will eliminate all weaknesses. Joey was silent for a moment, then asked, if trained to silver rank 9, can it still allow someone to fight a gold rank 1 opponent? Yes. Then upgrade it now. Ding. Without hesitation, Joey made his choice. Chapter 81, Family System Method. Phew. Joey let out a deep breath, feeling like he was exhaling smoke. At this moment, he was completely stunned. Is the effect really this terrifying? If he hadn't witnessed it himself, he would never have believed it. It was almost like a joke. But the problem was, the truth was right in front of him, leaving no room for doubt. Joey marveled, the effects are simply astonishing. Even though my raw strength hasn't gotten stronger, my energy, spirit, and every other aspect of my being has improved tremendously. His body, from muscles, bones, marrow, skin, organs, blood, to flesh, all 7 aspects had undergone a complete transformation. These were the 7 fundamental parts of the human body. The goal is to train them to reach the absolute limit. A body so powerful it could slay gods and demons. That was also the essence of the body. Technique. But, Joey suddenly asked, system, can all martial techniques evolve into the body technique? No. The system replied. Only techniques similar to the body refinement technique, which perfectly temper the human body, can evolve into it. Joey turned his gaze to his younger siblings. After all, his siblings had developed a solid foundation in their abilities, so they all had become much stronger. Clap. Katakuri strode forward and asked, Big brother. What just happened? Joey smiled. Katakuri, I've upgraded the body refining jutsu into a purer technique called the body. It's designed to push human physical training to the extreme. You must train with it carefully from now on. This is a complete and perfect path. Big brother. Katakuri nodded seriously. Understood. The Multiverse family system was designed with multiple tiers and types, ensuring that each world and creature could fully harness its family's potential. For the Charlotte family, the system was divided into 2 key tiers, common family training and personal training. Common family training. Every family member followed a common training regimen. By adulthood, those with the potential would naturally reach silver rank 1. This structured approach was essential. Before maturity, a child's body simply couldn't endure immense energy, so it was making the children keep their potential and achieving their limit rank at the right time. Personal training. Even though training was family-based, individuals had the freedom to develop their strength independently. More importantly, each member's progress fed back into the family technique. Every individual's advancement added 1% of their power to the collective. It might seem insignificant, but with enough people, the effect was staggering. For example, if the body was cultivated to silver rank 9, all future Charlotte family members would be born with silver rank 9 potential. Then, through the common family training method, they would naturally reach silver rank 9 by adulthood. Now, imagine the body reaching gold rank 9, platinum rank 9, diamond rank 9, crystal rank 9. The implications were astounding. Upon activating the system, Joey grasped a profound truth. The most crucial element wasn't wealth, resources, or influence, it was the family system method itself. The more perfected the technique, the stronger future generations would become. If the body ever reached crystal rank 9, every child born into the Charlotte family would grow into an absolute powerhouse. By adulthood, the potential was limitless. Phew. As Katakuri left, Joey exhaled deeply. The cost of this breakthrough was enormous. But the rewards are equally massive. It was all worth it. With a satisfied smile, Joey decided to rest. The past days had been exhausting. From the God Valley War, he hadn't had a single moment to relax, always keeping track of every detail. Even though the outcome was predetermined, he couldn't afford any mistakes. Finally, Joey drifted into deep sleep. After a few days, the Queen Mama Chanter was sailing swiftly. Before long, they entered the Tado land territory. Their pirate ship slowly docked at a small island located in the center of the sea. Linlin tilted her head unhappily. Joey. Is this the Cake Island? There's nothing here. Humphrey. She pouted, hugging Joey in frustration. Joey chuckled and reassured her, Mom, don't worry. We were short on money before, remember? But now that we have enough, We can finally start building Cake Island. Woo, Linlin whimpered. Hurry up and build it. Cake Island is the one thing I've been looking forward to the most. Alright. Joey soothed her like a child, making Linlin beam with happiness. She eagerly ran off to explore the island. Katakuri approached Joey. Big brother, reconstructing this island won't be easy. Joey nodded calmly. True, but as long as we have money, nothing is impossible. Prospero and others should be here soon. After some time, an ink crane descended from the sky, carrying 3 figures. Prospero, Daifuku, and Opera had arrived. Big brother. They called out, waving enthusiastically. Joey smiled. How's the progress? Daifuku stepped forward. Big brother. The construction of Noko Island, Tanga Island, Liquor Island, and Yakigashi Island is complete. But, he scratched his head awkwardly. We're completely out of money and we have to pay our huge debt soon. Prospero sighed. Big brother, we really can't borrow anymore. We're already at our limit, and we've got nothing left to pawn. Hey. Joey chuckled. Alright, I get it. This time, I brought back more than enough funds. Upgrading Tato Land won't be a problem. He nodded at Custard. Open the mirror world. Custard did as instructed, revealing a portal. Prospero and Daifuku exchanged a curious glance before stepping inside. A moment later, holy crap. This is insane. Did you rob the world government? Prospero and Daifuku were completely dumbfounded. Katakuri, however, remained calm as he explained, we didn't rob the world government, but Big Brother led us to clear out all the treasures of the celestial dragons. The 3 brothers fell into silence. This was a huge deal. That was the celestial dragon's treasure. Joey spoke gently, don't worry, there won't be any issues. These treasures are more than enough. Now, we'll start modifying the 36 islands, prioritizing the core, Whole Cake Island. The rest will be remodeled simultaneously. Got it, Big Brother? No problem. Both of them immediately perked up. No kidding. With this much treasure, Tato Land was about to undergo a massive transformation. Joey then turned and said, Opera, take me on a tour. Understood, Big Brother. Opera responded. With a roar, he transformed into his azure dragon form. Joey leaped onto Opera's head as the massive dragon streaked across the sky, heading towards the horizon. Tato Land wasn't extraordinarily vast. At its center was Whole Cake Island, surrounded by 36 modified islands. Their first stop, Noko Island. This island featured massive buildings, designed to resemble a grand Spartan Colosseum. At its center stood an enormous arena, specially built for the giants. Next was Yakigashi Island, a land centered around a volcano. Home to the dwarves that Joey bought from another world, who averaged about 1 meter in height. They were all master blacksmiths. The entire island had been transformed into a town revolving around the volcano. Then there was Liquor Island, a much simpler setup. The island's centerpiece, Great Mountain, was surrounded by scattered villages. The Una tribe, known for their unruly nature, expecting them to behave was laughable. They loved drinking, and Liquor Island boasted natural liquor springs, carefully modified through special means. Noko Island, Yakigashi Island, and Liquor Island, each had its own distinct style. At first glance, their modifications might not seem overly extravagant, but a deeper analysis would reveal the staggering costs. It was like paving the streets with gold, silver, and even diamonds. Precious materials were scattered about as if they were nothing. Finally, Opera brought Joey to Tanga Island. As they landed, Joey jumped off and touched down gracefully. Big Brother. Broey ran over with a bright smile. Big Brother, you're back? Joey ruffled Broey's hair. How's everything going? Broey grinned. Honestly, there's not much I need to do. My job is just to learn. The family's management team handles everything else. Joey nodded approvingly. That's right. Your job is to oversee the big picture. That's the most important thing. Everything else is just minor details. Got it? Broey nodded enthusiastically, looking genuinely happy. Joey had a clear stance on how family members should operate. In this world, there was no shortage of talented individuals. If necessary, he could even recruit from other worlds or train them himself. The key was not about having abilities but about proper management. Each of the 36 islands had been assigned 100 managers and 500 support staff. With this setup, managing a population of 100,000 was no issue. The family ministers only needed to handle major decisions. Your Majesty, Joey. Your Majesty. The Tontatas ran over excitedly, chattering non-stop. Joey spent about half an hour chatting with them before sending them off, then turned to observe Tanga Island. Compared to the previous 3 islands, Tanga Island was truly lush. Towering trees, over 100 meters tall, were scattered everywhere. The entire island's architecture was built around these massive trees. Beneath Tenga Island, a small underground city housed the Duntatas. However, most of them preferred living above the ground, making the underground area unnecessary for daily life. Noko Island had a warlike, Spartan atmosphere. Yakigashi Island was a fiery haven for blacksmiths. Liquor Island embodied a laid-back, carefree lifestyle. And finally, Tenga Island was a green paradise. Simply standing here filled one's soul with peace and tranquility. Joey took a deep breath and sighed in satisfaction. This place has a nice feel. It's really refreshing, soothing, even. Broey beamed with pride. No matter what, this was her island. No matter where she stood in the hierarchy, she was still its caretaker. Hey. Seeing Broey's happy expression, Joey chuckled warmly. Such a cute kid. You, huh? Just then, his gaze shifted. Huh? He narrowed his eyes slightly. Boom. Suddenly, the sound of cannon fire rang out, its deafening roar piercing the air. Amidst the explosions, arrogant voices echoed. Kill them. Boys, destroy these islands. The Una tribe, the Tontatas, and even the giants, on the black market, they sell for a fortune. Roar. Be they pirates or slavers, their battle cries filled the air, while their subordinates let out beastly howls. The newly transformed Tato land was now facing a wave of trouble. Chapter 82, Rob the Robber Roar. At that very moment, a furious, ear-splitting roar echoed through the air. And along with it, a dragon's breath surged forth. Blazing flames rained down from the sky. In an instant, the troublemakers who had come knocking were engulfed completely. Joey rubbed his chin, watching Cadenza's actions, and commented, I can tell that Cadenza is absolutely livid. For someone as calm and brave as him to be this furious, that must mean these pests have been showing up in droves lately, huh? It had been nearly 2 months since the construction of Tato Land had begun. At first, things were relatively calm. But after the war at God Valley erupted, the number of intruders had skyrocketed to the point of sheer madness. Opera, visibly fuming, let out a dry chuckle. Big bro. The amount of people showing up lately is insane. Most of them are pirates, with a few human traffickers mixed in. It's pretty obvious who's sending them our way. Broey sighed in frustration. Yeah. These guys wouldn't dare target the Charlotte family on their own. There's definitely someone backing them. Humphrey. Little Broey scrunched up her cute face in dissatisfaction. Joey, however, simply smiled and said, no doubt about it. There's no way pirates or traffickers would dare provoke the Charlotte family unless someone was pulling the strings. But right now, we can't afford to go around picking fights. Both of them froze but stayed silent. Broey had been learning a lot lately while Opera, despite his arrogance, was no fool. The siblings both understood, this was a tricky situation. They were being provoked, but they couldn't just retaliate recklessly. Sigh. Opera sighed in frustration. So we just have to sit back and take it? Hey, Joey raised a finger and wagged it playfully. Opera, you blockhead. Think a little. Do you really think our only option is to sit and wait? Huh? Opera and Broey both stared at Joey curiously. Joey leaned back against a sturdy tree branch and lazily explained, first of all, are you sure that these pirates or traffickers are all being sent by other major powers? Like the Kano Kingdom or the Atom Kingdom? He smirked and continued, sure, these superpowers wouldn't want another rising country to threaten them, but at the same time, they all have trade agreements with the Charlotte family. Directly going against us wouldn't be in their best interest, would it? Opera furrowed his brows, deep in thought. Swoosh. Just then, a streak of light zipped toward them. It was Gala. Having overheard the conversation, Gala immediately added, the Atom Kingdom wants to buy our weapons. It wouldn't make sense for them to attack us. If we were to fall, we'd destroy all our weapon supplies before they could get their hands on them. Snap. Joey snapped his fingers. Good point, Gala. And what about the Kano Kingdom? Gala nodded. The Kano Kingdom values our genetic research. They have massive trade dealings with us. Hurting the Charlotte family would mean massive losses for them, so it's highly unlikely. Joey grinned. Exactly. The Kano Kingdom and Atom Kingdom might have tested the waters a little, but they wouldn't go all in. At most, they'd take a swipe at us and retreat if it didn't work out. The others nodded in agreement. That made sense. Joey continued, other than those two superpowers, normal countries wouldn't dare mess with us, and the underground world and random pirates wouldn't have the guts either. So, who's really behind this? Crossing his legs, Joey rested his hands on his knee and instructed, think about it carefully. Opera, Gala, you two are future generals. Broey, you're the minister of Tenga Island and Seed Town. You all need to sharpen your minds. He tapped his temple. Strength is important, But brains matter just as much. You need to understand the full picture before using strength to solve the problem. Of course, Joey already knew the answer. But he wanted his siblings to learn to think critically instead of reacting blindly to their emotions. Rage alone would never lead to success. The 7 deadly sins: wrath, pride, envy, sloth, greed, gluttony, lust. Joey had always believed these emotions had their uses. If controlled properly, they could bring incredible growth. Appa frowned. Big bro, there aren't many superpowers in the world. The Atom Kingdom rules the New World, the Kano Kingdom dominates the West Blue, and... Gala suddenly blurted out, could it be Elbaf? The Giant Kingdom? Appa shook his head. No way. Those giants are straightforward folks. They wouldn't scheme like this. Plus, their previous king was killed. The new prince, Loki, is still trying to unify his people. It'll take him a long time. And in a world where 2 tigers can't share one mountain, the Kano Kingdom had its hands full controlling the underground world of the West Blue. Another rising superpower. That would be suicide. Historically, only Elbaf and the Atom Kingdom had ruled the New World. They fought fiercely, until the Atom Kingdom emerged victorious last time. True superpowers didn't just rely on size. Big bro? Gala asked in confusion. If that's the case, doesn't that make the Atom Kingdom the most suspicious? If we establish Todo Land, we become a superpower overnight. Hey, Joey simply chuckled and said nothing, letting them think it through. The 3 of them fell silent, deep in thought. Just then, a crane descended, and Prospero arrived. Seeing the trio so lost in thought, he asked, Big bro, what's going on? Joey smiled. Nothing major. I just asked them to figure out who's really behind these attacks on Todo Land. Who's behind it? Prospero muttered to himself before starting to think, then he spoke up, Big bro. If we eliminate all the unlikely suspects, then the least likely answer must be the truth, the world government. The 5 elders gave the order. Hey, Joey grinned approvingly. Exactly. There are 6 superpower kingdoms in the world, but 4 do business with us, and 2 wouldn't dare interfere. That leaves only one option, the world government itself. Hiss, everyone gasped as realization dawned upon them. Superpower kingdoms weren't under the world government's direct control. Sure, they paid the celestial dragons their heavenly tribute every year, but did they really obey the world government? Still, unlike Joey, none of them had dared openly challenge the world government. So, it made perfect sense. Gala spoke gravely, Big bro. If that's the case, won't the upcoming reverie be a nightmare for us? A problem? Joey shook his head. Not at all. If we endure this, the world government's plans will backfire spectacularly. I see. The others nodded in realization. Broy pouted. This is such a pain. Won't even more people come now? Joey chuckled. Of course. Every year, new pirates and underground organizations rise. With the world government's backing, their growth is rapid. Prospero agreed. Big bro's right. The future will only bring stronger enemies. Exactly. Joey smirked. But don't forget, Big Mom and Katakuri are pirates. And what do pirates do? Realization struck them all. Joey continued, pirates always carry treasure. Killing them is satisfying, but it's a waste. In the adult world, profit matters. If they come for us, their loot belongs to us. He paused and added, the underground world? If they provoke the Big Mom pirates, we retaliate. Simple. No matter how bad the situation seems, we turn it in our favor. Now, do you all understand? The 4 nodded seriously. This was a crucial lesson. Most would just kill their enemies and move on. But that was short-sighted. Would that really feel satisfying? Not necessarily. But looting their wealth and everything they have? Now that was a whole different story. Joey smirked. If they rob us, we rob them back. Simple. And one more thing, many rare races are scattered across the world. These pirate crews and underground syndicates might have captured them. You see where I'm going with this? Yes. The 4 nodded firmly, fully understanding now. Thinking was key. A rigid mindset led to failure. Sigh. Joey sighed. What a pain. Looks like we need proper teachers. These kids are learning, but not fast enough. We need professionals to educate them properly. Chapter 83, Mirror Domain. The Draenor Island. Joey had a massive headache. Some things could be compromised. And some things absolutely couldn't. Joey was never the type to settle for less. Building Todo Land? That was just because of his mother's dream. But what Joey truly wanted was to create a divine kingdom. Right now, his younger brothers and sisters were obviously struggling with their studies. This meant he had to find suitable teachers. Joey rubbed his temples, deep in thought. Sigh. Looks like I'll have to take my time researching this. It's not something that can just be done overnight. The best approach would be to hire teachers from other worlds. But the real question is, who would even sell such strategic resources? Joey's headache only worsened. Strategic resources. Teachers. People. Elite warriors. All of these were vital resources. After all, a family doesn't just compete against other families, they go up against everything. Anyone with half a brain would know that these things weren't up for sale. Didn't they see? Even combat techniques weren't casually traded. Sigh. With another sigh, Joey rubbed his temples. Forget it. I'll take my time researching. For now, I need to focus on Tato Land's reconstruction and our second voyage after the new year. Tato Land needed reconstruction. The new year was just around the corner. The second voyage would begin after that. This year. At the start of his journey, Joey had already handled matters with the nations of Elbaf, Dantata Kingdom, Ryugu Kingdom, Dressrosa, Alabasta, Germa Kingdom, Kano Kingdom, and Atom Kingdom. All of these were now secured. And they would be central to the upcoming World Conference. At the same time, there was another pressing issue, races from other worlds. Ana, dwarves, and beastmen. Joey had purchased all of these from other worlds. The Ana and dwarves weren't too expensive. But the beastmen? That was a different story. Acquiring 10,000 beastmen had cost him 20 devil fruits. Then, there were the giants and Tontata he had brought back, along with the fishmen and merfolk who would soon arrive. As for the others, he still needed to bring in the Long-Arm tribe, Long-Leg tribe, Three-Eyed tribe, Snake-Neck tribe, Mink tribe, and Angel tribe. Most of these weren't a problem. But the Snake-Neck and Three-Eyed tribes? They were on the verge of extinction. There might be fewer of them worldwide than the Tontata. As long as Tato Land was powerful enough, bringing them under control would be inevitable. And the Angel tribe? They would be easy to handle. The Long-Arm and Long-Leg tribes wouldn't be too difficult either. The real problem was the Mink tribe. They were a race that had serious issues with outsiders. In the original timeline, Big Mom had forced some of them to live in Tato Land. Joey needed to change that. Because he didn't just want a fraction of the Mink tribe, he wanted them all. And besides, Joey narrowed his eyes in thought. King is supposedly the last of the Lunarians. But is he really? There could still be survivors at this timeline. If that was a possibility, then he needed to keep searching. Joey looked up. Opera and Gala had already left. They had to continue their defensive duties. And spread their orders throughout the ranks. Broey had also left, leaving only Prospero waiting for the ships to arrive. Prospero noticed Joey had regained his focus and quickly asked, "Big bro. Have you decided?" "Yeah." Joey replied with a gentle smile. "There's still a lot to do. We'll take it one step at a time." "But Prospero, do you think it'll be easy to find the Lunarians and the True Dragons?" Prospero frowned. "Big bro. The Lunarians might still have some clues left behind. But the dragons? That's way too troublesome. They've been extinct for centuries, we don't even know if they still exist." Joey nodded. That was true. And these weren't the so-called Millennium Dragons from the original timeline. These were true dragons. They had dragon horns, dragon claws, humanoid dragon bodies, and dragon wings. To be precise, they should be called half-dragons. They had terrifying dragon-like strength, similar to Kaido's hybrid form. And this race had been wiped from history for nearly 300 years. Finding them was almost impossible. Whoosh! Over here. Joey watched as Prospero started giving orders. A massive mirror, 30 meters tall and 10 meters wide, was being transported carefully by members of the Beastmen. Before long they reached the center of Tanga Island, where Prospero instructed, "Set it down here. This is the spot." Boom. Slowly, the enormous mirror was placed down. Prospero then turned to the nearby craftsman. "Modify the area around this mirror. Make it look like a portal." "Yes." The craftsmen immediately got to work upon receiving their orders. Joey walked over and asked, "Prospero, whose idea was this?" With just a glance, he already knew what this was. A mirror domain. Or more precisely, a mirror portal. Custard's mirror fruit allowed her to create mirrors. However, the internal mirror world had size limitations. It wasn't like he could place a mirror on the other side of the world and connect it instantly. That would be absurd. But covering the entirety of Tato Land? That was completely doable. The size of the mirror world wasn't something Custard could expand through training. It was a fixed size, much like the castle fruit. So unless Custard awakened her devil fruit to a higher level, the mirror world's size wouldn't change. Still, it was more than enough for now. By linking all the islands through various mirrors, and then carefully placing these mirror portals in the most strategic locations, Custard ensured they became permanent fixtures. Prospero spoke directly. Compote came up with the idea. Since you weren't around, big bro, she just went ahead and took action. Hey, Joey chuckled. You guys are finally learning. That's great. You need to think outside the box. Don't always cling to the same old ways. He was genuinely pleased. It meant his younger siblings were growing. And that was the most important thing. Their growth mattered the most. Then, Joey said, Prospero, take your time handling this. I'm heading back first. Prospero nodded. Got it, big bro. No problem. Joey stepped through the mirror and entered the mirror world. Meanwhile, Prospero continued his work. For the next period, the entire Charlotte family entered a phase of stable development. Joey kept searching for worthwhile trades. Unfortunately, finding good deals was getting harder and harder. After so many years, any clan leader with half a brain already knew exactly what could and couldn't be traded. Under these circumstances, getting what he wanted purely through business deals was no longer easy. That said, the Charlotte family's growth hadn't slowed down just because of that. Roar. Screech. The azure dragon and massive beasts roared in the skies. Countless invaders were slaughtered. And every single one of them was dealt with in the shortest time possible. By then, some people had already boarded the enemy ships, taking all the treasures and capturing non-human slaves. Honestly, the spoils weren't much. But small gains added up. And there was no shortage of attackers. With such a ridiculous number of enemies coming in, there was always something valuable to take. In a short period, they had captured long-armed clansmen, long-legged tribesmen, and even fishmen. Not to mention, Joey had also brought back a batch of slaves from the celestial dragons. However, that batch didn't include any rare races like the mink tribe. Even the three-eyed tribe and the snake-neck tribe were incredibly scarce. Huff, Opera landed and asked, how's the situation? Cabaletta replied, Opera bro, don't worry. I've got this under control. No problems at all. Opera gave him a long, silent stare. After a moment of silence, he still didn't say anything. It was precisely because Cabaletta was handling things that he was worried. That short temper of his was a huge liability. But there was no point in saying that out loud. It would just hurt his brother's feelings. Cadenza rubbed his forehead. How many invaders have we dealt with so far? Opera thought for a moment. Roughly over 300 by now. And that's not even counting Kitakuri, who alone has wiped out nearly 100 underground factions outside. Seriously. What a hassle. Cadenza sighed. Yeah. Opera agreed, shaking his head. The three brothers sighed together. There was nothing else to do but accept reality. At the very least, until the World Conference began. This situation wasn't going to change. Wanting things to be different? That was basically wishful thinking. Over here. This way. Keep moving. Amidst the loud shouts, Daifuku and Oven had fully embraced their roles as construction bosses, leading architects and craftsmen across various islands. The 100 Arms Island of the Long-armed tribe. The Sun-chasing Island of the Long-legged tribe. The Giant Whale Island of the Fishmen. Atlantis, home of the Mermaids. Memory Island of the Three-eyed tribe. Paradise Island of the Snake-neck tribe. Of course, these islands' renovations were part of later projects. The real priority right now was Draenor Island, the homeland of the Beastmen. Other races didn't have large enough numbers to require urgent action. But the Beastmen? Now they were a major tribe. And when Joey had struck a deal with the Shadow Moon clan's leader, he couldn't help but be impressed. That guy was ruthless. A full 10,000 Beastmen had been offered up. And they weren't just any Beastmen, he had handed over 7 entire clans, covering all of the Beastmen's 7 most important lineages. Which meant more work for Daifuku and Oven. With blueprints in hand, they had no choice but to follow them to the letter. Arg. Daifuku groaned in frustration. We have to be close to finishing by now, right? This is way too exhausting. Huff, Oven panted heavily. Yeah. Draenor Island is pretty much done. Just a few finishing touches left. We'll wrap it up before the year ends and enjoy the new year. Sigh. The two brothers exchanged a look and sighed helplessly. It was such a tedious job. And the worst part? They couldn't afford to slack off. As younger brothers, they knew how much of a perfectionist their big bro was. If they made even the slightest mistake, hey, no need to explain the consequences. Forget just redoing the work, they would be the ones suffering the most. Still, at least Draenor Island was almost done. The hard part was finally over. Stepping through the mirror portal, Prospero arrived and spotted the 2 exhausted men. How's it going over here? He asked. Daifuku groaned, Prospero bro, we're basically done. Not much left to worry about. Prospero chuckled. Good. Don't stress. Big Bro already said that starting next year, you two won't have to do this kind of work anymore. Amanda isn't going anywhere, she'll be managing Draenor Island from now on. Oven's eyes lit up. For real? Amanda's taking over? Prospero nodded. Yep. That's what Big Bro said. Oh hell yeah. Finally. The two brothers cheered instantly. They felt like they could finally breathe again. After all, Daifuku was cold and calculating. Oven was violent and short-tempered. These two were not suited for construction work. Did Joey know that? Of course he did. As their big bro, he knew exactly what kind of personalities his siblings had. And that was precisely why he made them do it. It was all part of their training, to help them develop patience and self-control. Joey had never been lax when it came to teaching his siblings to grow stronger. Chapter 84, New Year Gathering. The waves crashed against the ship, creating a rhythmic roar. All five of the Opera brothers suddenly turned their heads. Then, they relaxed. It was the Queen Chanter. Ha ha ha, Cabaletta laughed heartily. Big Brother Kitakuri and the others are back. Yeah. Everyone was visibly excited. After all, the new year was just around the corner. For most pirates, New Year's? It didn't really matter much. But, things were different for the Charlotte family. They took the new year very seriously. To an almost shocking extent. According to their eldest brother, a family must gather every year. Otherwise, what's the point of calling it family? And so, every new year, all family members made sure to reunite. Though in the past, Linlin was always busy and rarely attended these gatherings. Swoosh! A streak of light flashed through the air. Kitakuri landed beside the group. Looking at the five of them, he smiled and asked, "You've been busy lately, haven't you?" Ugh! At the mention of that, everyone let out a helpless sigh. Opera scratched his head in frustration. Big Brother Kitakuri. Forget everything else, it's been a nightmare. Those guys just never stop coming. And to make things worse, we can't let our guard down. Every now and then, there are some really strong ones mixed in. If they manage to slip into Tato Land, the damage they could cause would be massive. Gala also sighed. Exactly. Tato Land still isn't fully built yet. According to Big Brother, once construction is done, we won't have to worry as much. But for now, we can't afford to relax. Hee, Cracker, standing on the deck with his massive sword slung over his shoulder, chuckled. Man, you guys have it rough. Compared to you, my job's way easier. Just keep running around and dealing with one intruder after another. Yeah, it's annoying. Ugh. The group sighed in unison. It really was a pain. Such a headache. Kitakuri, however, just smiled. Alright, enough about that. Let's focus on heading back. How's construction on Cake Island coming along? At the mention of Cake Island, Linlin's cheerful voice rang out. How is it? At this moment, Linlin was pregnant. But honestly, how exactly did she get pregnant? Who knows? Charlotte's mother couldn't be bothered to find a man, so she usually just extracted pure souls and somehow got pregnant that way. As for who the father was this time, no one had a clue. But everyone was used to it by now. She'd go out for a little stroll, and by the time she came back, boom, she was pregnant again. Sitting on the couch, a book in his hands, Joey calmly put it down and removed his glasses. Dressed in light-colored casual clothes, he smiled gently. You're all back? Big Brother. Everyone's here. Hee. Joey's smile remained warm as he said, then let's start the banquet. Yeah. The entire room lit up with excitement. After 5 days of preparations, as night fell, everyone gathered around a massive round table, wearing bright smiles. Of course, this round table would have to change in the future. Right now, there were already 20 men and 12 women in the family. Including Linlin, that made a total of 32 people. And as their younger siblings continued to grow, getting bigger and bigger, this table definitely wouldn't be enough. But that didn't matter. What truly mattered was the joy of having the entire family gathered together. That was the most important thing. The banquet started in silence. And then, Joey gazed at everyone warmly, his voice soft but firm. A new year is beginning. Everyone, are you ready? Every single person locked eyes with their big brother, their gazes burning with determination. They were waiting. They were ready. For the future of their family. Hee. Joey looked around, chuckling lightly. I've told Kitakuri and the others before, our family's future isn't just about what we see right now. It's much, much bigger. He paused for a moment before continuing. The Charlotte family is building Tato Land. But Tato Land's future isn't just about being a kingdom. No, it will become a divine nation. The supreme, unmatched land of gods. And the future of the Charlotte family isn't bound to just this simple world. Whoosh, as Joey spoke, his voice remained gentle and composed, but beneath that gentleness, an overwhelming dominance radiated from his words, making everyone shudder slightly from the sheer intensity of it. They stared at Joey. And then he continued. That's why, our Charlotte family's future lies across the infinite domains and the multiverse war. Our future is limitless, and no one, absolutely no one, can stop us. Roar. All of his younger brothers and sisters let out excited howls, their blood boiling with enthusiasm. The banquet has begun. And just like that, the lively New Year's banquet officially started. Since the day Joey was born, this was the first time the entire family had gathered together like this. Even when he was just born, back then, there were only 1 or 2 people in the family. That wasn't a banquet. But today, all 32 members of the family were here. Every single person was smiling. There were no other emotions in their eyes, only pure joy. And that was what made Joey the happiest. Because a family could only grow strong if it was united from within. The family system ensured absolute loyalty to the Charlotte family. But that didn't mean internal problems wouldn't arise. And that's why Joey made sure to teach his younger siblings how to avoid conflicts and problems within the family. Ugh. At that moment, Linlin pouted at Joey, looking unhappy. Joey sighed. Mom. What's wrong? Linlin huffed, crossing her arms. Joey. How could you not tell Mama? What's all this talk about infinite worlds and the multiverse? You didn't tell me anything. Humphrey. Joey chuckled. Mom. You don't need to worry about these things. You're the mother of the Charlotte family, aren't you? Nothing in the world is more important than you, right? So, Mom, all of this doesn't matter. Here, try this. I had little Momo specially prepare this just for you. As expected of Linlin, just a few words from Joey, and her mood shifted immediately. Her focus turned to the cake in front of her, and she happily took a bite. Joey watched his mother enjoy her food. His smile softened. No matter what, as long as his family was happy, that was all that mattered. As the banquet roared on with laughter and chatter, Joey held great ambitions, but more than that, he loved his family more. In his mind, he thought, Mama, my little brothers, my little sisters, our future is in my hands. My name is Charlotte Joey. Your big brother. The firstborn. The head of the Charlotte family. And I swear, I will make the Charlotte family the strongest in the entire multiverse. Chapter 85, The Charlotte Family's New Journey. A banquet. Always a time of joy. Everyone was immersed in the festivities. When Joey opened his eyes, 3 days had already passed. Shaking his head, he rubbed his temples and muttered, alcohol is really not a good thing. I need to be more careful in the future. He hated the feeling of losing control. Drinking was supposed to be for relaxation. Yet, somehow, he had gotten completely wasted. That was unacceptable. This wasn't the kind of relaxation he wanted. Master, sobering tea. Phew, Joey took the tea from the maid and sipped it slowly before exhaling deeply. He stood up, and the 2 maids beside him had already prepared a fresh set of clothes. After getting dressed, he massaged his temples again and left the room. In the study, Joey sat down. A maid had already brewed tea and placed it in front of him. Creak, the door opened, and Prospero walked in. Big brother. You're awake? Joey asked, how long was I out? Prospero chuckled, Big bro, you've been asleep for 3 days. You rarely get this drunk. Joey shook his head, helpless. Next time, I need to control myself. Did anything important happen in these 3 days? Prospero thought for a moment. Nothing major. Some troublemakers showed up in Todo Land, but the Beastmen displayed incredible strength and wiped out all the pirates. Other than that, business is running smoothly. Hearing this, Joey gently blew on his tea. A new year has begun, huh? Prospero, who had just sat down across from him, was momentarily stunned before glancing at the deep blue sky outside. Yeah. Another new year. Year 1485 of the sea calendar. Last year, the Charlotte family first revealed their hidden fangs. Last year, the God Valley War erupted. Now, a new era of rising contenders is beginning. This year would be the start of an age where countless powers would rise. It would be a dangerous time, but also full of opportunities. For those with the strength, anything was possible. Shaking his head, Joey chuckled at himself. It's not time to start reflecting on life just yet. Our journey has only begun. Ha ha ha, Prospero laughed. Big bro, you're only 15. Why do you sound like some old man in his 80s? Even if we were that old, our Charlotte family has such grand ambitions. There's no way we'd give up here. Our future is limitless. Joey grinned. TCH. Getting lectured by you, huh? How embarrassing. He, Prospero laughed, shaking his head. Joey then said casually, a new year means a new beginning. With the treasure we took from the celestial dragons, our business should be getting on the right track, right? It was a simple question. To be honest, ever since he handed the business over to his brother, he hadn't paid much attention to it. Prospero nodded. Big bro, since last year, our Charlotte family has been expanding into all sorts of underground dealings, human trafficking, organ trade, gene fruit sales, assassination, intelligence. In short, we're involved in anything that makes money. Joey nodded. Good. You're the best person for this. What do you think we should call our business? Prospero looked confused. Call it? Joey smirked. It needs a name, don't you think? A name, huh? Prospero pondered for a moment before suddenly lighting up. Big bro. What do you think of the Dark Trade Guild? We're just a trading guild, after all. Just one with a lot of different transactions. And the word dark represents how we will control the darkness of the future. Hey, taking a sip of tea, Joey smiled. Not bad. Alright, Prospero, the Dark Trade Guild is yours to manage. I'll have Daifuku and Oven assist you. Prospero hesitated. Big bro, I don't think they'll like this job. Joey shook his head. No choice. Those two need training. Daifuku is cold and calculating, while Oven is too hot-headed. They need experience. Besides, they'll only handle a small portion, just enough to learn. Their real talents are in combat. Sighing, Joey added, we still need proper teachers. A structured education system would be crucial. Shaking off his thoughts, he continued, you manage the guild with those two brats. Prospero agreed. That's fine, but if we leave now, won't it be hard to handle Tato Land's affairs? Joey knew what he was worried about. Amand, as the leader of the 36 ministers, already manages important territories like Drenner Island and Beast's Town. That proves her ability. She'll handle Tato Land's construction and governance. Prospero nodded. Amand has been diligently studying every day, training, strategy, management, construction, she's improving in every area. Joey smiled. That's why I chose her. She's just too serious. With everything settled, Joey sternly reminded, one more thing, our business must never be pushed around. If a deal fails, so be it. But if anyone dares to move against the Charlotte family, they won't live to regret it. Prospero's expression turned serious. Don't worry, big bro. If anything happens, I'll inform Mama and Katakuri immediately. Joey nodded in satisfaction. After thinking for a moment, he added, setting up the Dark Trade Guild should go smoothly. By the way, I promised to take Daifuku and Oven out for a while. You'll have to handle things here in the meantime. Hee, Prospero grinned. No problem, big bro. Everything's running smoothly. Year 1485 of the sea calendar. The Charlotte family was setting off on a new journey. With the new year just beginning, Prospero had already started moving. The Dark Trade Guild. Its headquarters was established in Tato Land, specifically on Memory Island, also known as Truth Town. The three-eyed tribe possessed special abilities. They could see through people's hearts. They could discern truth from lies. Because of this, they were often hunted and had become increasingly rare. Many had gathered in a secret location, and upon hearing of Tato Land, more began making their way there. Not just the three-eyed tribe, but also the snake-neck tribe, two groups that had suffered the same fate. Prospero decided to establish the Dark Trade Guild's headquarters on the three-eyed tribe's Memory Island, Truth Town, which was a fitting choice. Of course, Memory Island is still under development, it's only in its early stages. At the start of the year, a man took over the work previously managed by Daifuku and Oven. She dived into the role with diligence and dedication. The construction of 31 islands. The establishment of the Dark Trade Guild. Various other matters. Amand handled everything meticulously, ensuring no mistakes were made. 1 month later, Joey continues his studies. He also oversees the family's major strategic direction but has yet to take direct action himself. Lately, he has identified a promising business opportunity and is currently negotiating its terms. If everything goes well, this deal could yield immense profits. Just then, creak. Katakuri pushed the door open and said, Big brother. We're preparing to depart. Joey looked up and smiled. It's about time. The Whitebeard Pirates and the Sky Pirates have both been formed. Meanwhile, John, Wang Zi, and Silver Axe have joined forces to create one pirate crew. Our Big Mom pirates should begin making their move as well. Katakuri nodded solemnly. Indeed. In this vast sea, pirates do not have the best reputation. The Charlotte family, Tato Land, and the Dark Trade Guild all have their reputations to consider. Unless we possess the strength to dominate the world, some things simply cannot be done openly. However, pirates are different. Joey's voice was calm. Katakuri, I'm glad you understand this. Hey, Katakuri chuckled and said, Big brother. Of course, I understand. The growth of our family, this is the most important thing, isn't it? Reputation and reality. We must wield a blade in the darkness. And I am willing to be that blade, to cut down anyone who dares to lay a hand on the Charlotte family. He paused for a moment, then shook his head. No. Rather than cutting down those who dare to harm our family, I will eliminate anyone who dares to reach out to my loved ones. Joey nodded warmly. Go, Katakuri. I have prepared a gift for you. When you return this year, I guarantee you'll be satisfied with it. Katakuri smiled. Big brother. Now I'm really looking forward to it. Of course. Joey watched him with a smile. Smack. The two brothers lightly struck each other's chests before Katakuri turned and left. As Joey watched him go, he chuckled. That brat. Still, I really should get started on that gift. It's something that suits him perfectly. Squinting his eyes, Joey fell into deep thought. This involved a very special bloodline. For Katakuri, it was absolutely ideal. Joey murmured, that guy shouldn't be asking for an outrageous price. That bloodline is indeed outstanding, but if it can't be fully awakened, it's practically worthless. Outside, Big Mom, Katakuri, Compote, Cracker, Mundi, Hashi, and Effie all boarded the ship. And just like that, they set sail. The growth of the Charlotte family, the Dark Trade Guild and the Big Mom Pirates. The Charlotte family is steadily expanding and evolving. For any great family, gradual refinement is essential. Slowly but surely, everything will be perfected. Big brother. Amanda arrived at Joey's side. Joey looked at her and asked, Amanda, what's wrong? She sat down and spoke softly, Big brother. I feel. What is it? Joey's voice remained gentle. Amanda fell silent. Joey didn't rush her, letting her take her time to find the right words. After a moment, she finally spoke. Big brother. I don't think I'm suited for this. I work really hard, but I'm always afraid I'm not doing well enough. Joey chuckled and shook his head. Silly girl, do you really think you're not doing well enough? Amanda quickly responded, I feel like everyone. Joey cut her off. I know what you're about to say, Amanda, but don't assume what others think or feel about you. If everyone truly believed you weren't doing a good job, I'd take this role away from you myself. But if you don't want it, you're free to step down. That's not it. Amanda said hurriedly. Big brother. Helping my family makes me happy, but I just always feel like I'm not doing enough. Joey chuckled. He walked to the window, pushed it open, and let the fresh air in. You, little one, just lack confidence. Stop worrying about what you assume and start listening to what people actually say about you. He glanced back at her with a smirk. I can promise you, it's nothing but praise. And even if it isn't. His smile turned sharp. If anyone dares to speak ill of you, I'll cut them down myself. He softened, his voice filled with warmth. No matter what, you have us, your family, standing behind you in everything you do. For once, the usually cold and aloof Amanda felt something unexpected, comfort. Chapter 86, Crazy Deals. Holy Grail. Amanda had left after hearing these words. Joey lightly tapped his fingers on the coffee table, murmuring, sigh. Every single one of them is a problem. I'll just have to take my time guiding them and helping them grow. Prospero is sharp and cautious, making him the best fit to handle business affairs. But the problem is, he's ruthless, always going for the kill and never thinking about long-term sustainability. That's something he needs to change gradually. Control and cruelty, a true businessman needs to master both perfectly. Otherwise, if you wipe everything out too quickly without enough power to sustain it, you'll soon find there's nothing left to control. As for Katakuri, his personality is damn near perfect, calm, wise, strong, and kind. But that's the issue. He needs to loosen up. If he keeps pushing himself to be perfect, it'll break him one day. And Amanda? Her situation is even worse. She puts on this strong and cold persona, but deep down, she has zero confidence in herself. That's something she needs to build up, little by little. Sigh. Joey let out another deep sigh, shaking his head. Well, there's no rush. Everything takes time to develop. Ding. Just then, a notification popped up. Clan Chief, Charlotte Clan Chief, your deal sounds fine. I can process it through the family system, but 2 devil fruits seem a bit too little, don't you think? Huh? Joey smirked. Finally took the bait. Charlotte Clan Chief, no way I'm giving more. The system's cost for transferring devil fruits is already high enough. And while the bloodline you're offering looks strong, the achievement points it requires are way too much. This quantity is the only fair deal, clan chief. Alright. Consider it a token of friendship. 2 devil fruits it is, Charlotte clan chief. Deal. The moment the transaction was confirmed, Joey's 2 devil fruits disappeared. In exchange, a small vial of experimental potion appeared before him. Joey picked it up, inspecting the liquid inside. So, this is the bloodline best suited for Katakuri. That stubborn bastard always fights the same way. This should be perfect for him. He stored the vial inside his family emblem. Just as he was about to pick up a book to study, ding, ding, more notifications popped up in quick succession. Joey's grin widened. Haha. Looks like they say good fortune comes in together. Seems like trade deals do too. With that, he opened his private chat panel. Elven Clan Chief, Charlotte Clan Chief. I can accept the deal of 40 law prototypes that you name devil fruits in exchange for 10,000 elves. Joey frowned at the outrageous offer and quickly replied. Charlotte Clan Chief, Elven Clan Chief, that's daylight robbery. I won't deny that elves have great potential, but you really think 10,000 elves are worth 40 devil fruits? Don't make me laugh. Inside a luxurious, emerald green palace, the Elven Queen furrowed her brows. She knew it was a ridiculous demand. But the devil fruits. They're the key. As long as I have enough of them, I can quickly train strong warriors and solidify my control over this world. This guy won't budge unless he sees real value in the deal. Looks like I'll have to throw in something extra. Elven Clan Chief, 50 devil fruits. In return, I'll include the meditation jutsu, a method for strengthening the mind. It can be enhanced using achievement points. That caught Joey's interest. He had to admit, if the Elven Clan Chief wasn't in such a desperate hurry, just the meditation jutsu alone would normally be worth 50 devil fruits. Still, he couldn't just agree so easily. He needed to be cautious. Charlotte Clan Chief, 55 devil fruits. You also throw in a bottle of spring water and a life tree seed, Elven Clan Chief. Absolutely not. That's way too much. For a deal like that, the minimum would be 90 devil fruits, Charlotte Clan Chief. Then forget it. You're not the only Elven Clan Chief in the multiverse. If I want to buy something, I can get it elsewhere. 60 devil fruits, take it or leave it. Joey's smirk deepened. I see. He narrowed his eyes. If I'm not mistaken, the Elven Clan Chief must be dealing with an invasion or an urgent breakthrough. Otherwise, there's no way she'd be this desperate. His guess was spot on. The Elven Clan's great elder was on the verge of death. If he didn't comprehend the law prototypes soon, he'd be dead for sure. Devil fruits had traces of laws, making it ideal for the current situation. On top of that, there were enemies at their gates and ambitions to conquer more territory. All of it required immediate action. Joey still had 202 devil fruits in total. Of course, that was after setting aside his personal reserve of the most valuable ones. After spending 2 on the bloodline purchase, he now had 200 left, more than enough. The chat fell silent for a while. Then, the Elven Clan Chief finally responded. Elven Clan Chief, 10,000 elves, 1 life tree seed, 1 bottle of spring water, and meditation jutsu, but I need at least 70 law prototypes. Any less, and the deal's off. Joey knew that was her absolute limit. Ha 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 ha. He almost wanted to burst out laughing. This was an absolute steal. Charlotte Clan Chief, deal. Elven Clan Chief, deal. With the trade complete, Joey watched as a series of glowing cards materialized in his hand. He wasted no time signing the slave contracts before setting them down on the table. His gaze then shifted to the seed encased in a crystal green vial. A life tree seed. The foundation of the Elven Clan. With this and the 10,000 elves, he could eventually grow a mother tree capable of producing his own elves. No more need to buy them from others. And then there was the small, fist-sized fountain, a Moonlight Mountain spring water. It could restore magic power, heal injuries, and refresh the mind, an all-purpose elven elixir. Thanks to the family system, as long as he had the first sample, he could now create more in the future. Satisfied, he set them aside. But he wasn't done yet. There was still another deal to take care of. He opened the chat again. Datsuki, as chef leader, Charlotte Clan Chief, I can offer you 5 top-tier chefs in exchange for 20 devil fruits, top-tier chefs. Not just ordinary cooks. These were chefs with the potential to ascend to divine levels. When they mastered their craft, the food they created wouldn't just be delicious, it would be transcending. Joey knew this price was fair. Training a chef to reach that state was no easy feat. But for him, it was worth the investment. After thinking for a moment, he replied. Charlotte Clan Chief, I accept. But I get to choose the chefs myself, as chef leader. Agreed. Soon, Joey received a list of available candidates. After all, He couldn't demand chefs they didn't have, that wouldn't be fair, and there were people who this director of Totsuki Culinary Academy would never trade. Damn. I really wanted Arena. Then without hesitation, he made his selection. Charlotte Clan Chief, Kobayashi Rindo, Kanekyo Ninin, Tadokuro Megumi, Kikuchi Sanoka, and Inui Hueco, as chef leader. Done. He wasn't surprised. These 5 all had incredible potential as future god-tier chefs. But as long as they weren't the first seat, the chef leader was willing to part with them. Once the deal was sealed, a flash of light signaled the arrival of 5 new figures. At the same time, 20 devil fruits vanished from Joey's inventory. He remained calm, silently observing the 5 chefs. Without hesitation, they bowed in unison. Master. Joey nodded. Wait here for now. I have one more trade to finish. Yes. The 5 obediently stood by, quietly watching their future master. At this moment, Joey looked like a young man of 18 or 19, with flowing pink hair, flawless hands, and an elegant aura. Dressed in luxurious robes, he radiated the charm of a noble gentleman, yet beneath it all, there was an unmistakable air of dominance. Ding! Another message popped up. His private chat window started flashing as someone grew impatient. Saiyan Clan Chief, Charlotte Clan Chief. No more nonsense. 50 devil fruits, I'll trade you the training method for key. Oh? Joey raised an intrigued eyebrow, a smirk forming on his lips. Was today his lucky day or something? First, he secured the meditation jutsu, and now someone was offering key training method. But Charlotte Clan Chief, 50 is too much. I want to add 10,000 Saiyans in exchange. If you agree, we have a deal. The Saiyan Clan Chief hesitated. To be honest, Joey was just testing the waters. Getting key method alone was already an amazing opportunity. Saiyan Clan Chief, no way. Absolutely not. I will never trade Saiyans. Give up on that idea, Charlotte Clan Chief. Well, that's a shame. Looks like this trade is over then, and just like that, the deal was off. Joey chuckled to himself. What, did they expect me to beg? If they didn't want to trade, then so be it. Besides, he held the advantage. He had the devil fruits in his possession, and in the end, they were the ones coming to him, not the other way around. To be fair, the Saiyan Clan Chief understood something very clearly. Saiyans had unmatched potential. Everyone wanted to buy them. He had received countless offers, way too many to count. Because deep down, he knew Super Saiyans existed, but he didn't know how to achieve it. The problem was that many people wanted to buy Saiyans and seemed to know how to get a Super Saiyan, while he, the leader of the Saiyans, was the only one who didn't, or what? That was awkward. Joey leaned back on his sofa, stretching lazily. Looks like today's trades are done. Ding! Just as he was about to relax, a new notification popped up. Tasaka Clan Chief, Charlotte Clan Chief, I've gathered the holy grails you requested. 50 devil fruits, no negotiating. Joey's eyes lit up as he read the message. Charlotte Clan Chief, 50 devil fruits for 1 holy grail? No problem, Tasaka Clan Chief, trade initiated. Charlotte Clan Chief, trade initiated, with a faint triple in space, 2 holy grail. Appeared before Joey. His smirk deepened. Sure, he had just lost 100 devil fruits in a single trade. Today alone, he had spent a total of 192 devil fruits. Now, he only had 10 left. But so what? It was more than worth it. He had secured everything he needed. One moment, he was rich. The next, he was broke. But in return, his gains were immense. Chapter 87, Skathakan's huge liang clap. Creak. With the sound of approaching footsteps, the study door slowly swung open. Master, I'm here. Ikangakubo Momo said calmly. Joey nodded. Little Momo, these people are the new chefs. Guide them through the necessary procedures. Once they're familiar with everything, they will take on different head chef roles. Ikangakubo Momo nodded. Understood, Master. With that, the crowd dispersed and left. Joey then stood up. Buzz, without hesitation, he left Cake Island. On the other side, Joey stepped onto an isolated island. A man quickly followed, calling out, Big brother. Joey responded warmly, Amand, is this Elf Island? Yes, Big brother. Amand confirmed. This is Elf Island. We're preparing to build the life town here, but it'll take some time. Joey nodded indifferently. We can begin construction now, but first, I need to take care of something. Amand turned her head in confusion, unsure of his meaning. Joey had already reached the heart of Elf Island. Carefully, he planted the seed of the life tree. Before long, the seed took root and sprouted. Joey then placed the moonlight spring beside the tree, allowing it to absorb enough energy. Phew, after completing the setup, Joey exhaled deeply and said softly, "Amand, you can now start construction. Build around this life tree as the center. These are the elves, a total of 10,000 of them." With that, Joey tossed a deck of elf tribe cards to Amand. As a member of the Charlotte family, Amand was already well aware of what these cards represented. She nodded. "Big brother, I understand how to handle this." "Good." Joey continued, "Amand, I leave this to you." With those words, Joey left. As he departed, Amand fell into deep thought. Phew, Joey exhaled deeply, looking at the two relics in his hands. One resembled a shattered mirror, while the other was an almost completely tattered book, barely recognizable, with a single word, Spirit, visible on its cover. "System." Joey called out. "I want to summon these two heroic spirits. What price do I need to pay?" Summoning both in their complete state requires 20,000 achievement points. Joey's mouth twitched. "Yeah, as if I could afford that. Even without thinking, I know full summoning is out of the question." Shaking his head, he knew the system wouldn't respond to his complaints. After all, the system was just an emotionless machine. "System, I just need them to exist permanently. They don't need any powerful abilities. Summoning both in a normal human form, allowing them to exist indefinitely, costs 200 achievement points. Summon them." Without hesitation, Joey deducted the points and activated the summoning. Whoosh, brilliant light flashed momentarily before quickly dissipating, leaving everything eerily calm. It had happened so fast that it felt almost like an illusion. Had anything actually happened? Or was it just a dream? Clap. A tall, mature woman appeared, her long, wine-red hair flowing elegantly. She wore a sheer veil-like outfit that revealed nothing yet carried a strangely alluring beauty. "An alternate world, huh?" she murmured, surveying her surroundings before fixing her gaze on Joey. She chuckled lightly. "So, why have you summoned me? This spirit body of mine has no power at all. While I can live indefinitely, I'm no stronger than an ordinary human." He, regarding that, I'm rather curious myself," came a raspy voice. A frail-looking old man, seemingly on the verge of collapsing with each step, emerged. Despite his age, he did not appear weak or unsightly. Rather, he radiated wisdom, like an enlightened sage. Joey stood up and greeted them warmly. "Lady Skathak and Mr. Zhuliang, greetings." He then bowed deeply, showing the utmost respect. These two. The first was Skathak, a legendary figure from Ulster cycle of Irish mythology. She had trained countless heroes and mages, slain countless beings, whether humans, undead, or even gods, raising combat techniques to a level capable of killing deities. And the other? Zhuliang, also known as Kongming, was a master of astronomy, geography, military strategy, statecraft. Simply put, he was a universal genius. With such figures before him, it wasn't just Joey who had to show respect, anyone would. Unless, of course, they had knowledge surpassing these two. I see now. Zhuliang mused. So I've been drawn into something like this. At that moment, the family system imprinted all the necessary knowledge into their minds. Zhuliang nodded. As the head of a family, you indeed have some flaws. However, that does not change the fact that you are a brilliant leader. More importantly, you understand one crucial thing, knowledge is power. He gazed at Joey approvingly. The summoned Zhuliang had no combat abilities. He truly was nothing more than an old man. However, as a manifestation of belief, he possessed unparalleled knowledge. The breadth of his wisdom was overwhelming. Joey smiled. Of course. Strength is important, but knowledge is the ultimate power. With enough knowledge, anything can be overturned. Ha ha ha. Zhuliang chuckled. I understand now. Meanwhile, Skathak lounged on his sofa, smirking. How interesting. You sure are well prepared. Naturally. Joey nodded with a grin. Over the next month, Joey ordered a man to construct 2 academies on Cake Island. One for Skathak and one for Zhuliang. Each academy was staffed with hundreds of chefs, maids, and other personnel. Joey spared no expense or effort in setting up everything for his teachers. 1 month later Joey arrived, leading the entire Charlotte family. Everyone followed behind him. Prospero, Kitakuri, Daifuku, Oven, Opera, Counter, Cadenza, Cabaletta, Gala, Cracker, Zaccato, Nustort, Vascart, Dasmarca, Noiset, Moscato, Campo, Lauren, and Montanador, 19 men in total. Compote, Mundi, Amand, Hashi, Effali, Custard, Angel, Brulee, Broe, Mash, and Cornstarch, 11 women. In short, Joey had brought all 30 members of the Charlotte family. What is this? No idea. But Big Bro found some teachers. Huh? Everyone was utterly confused. They had no idea what was going on. Even Joey's siblings, who were always by his side, only knew a little. The only one who had some understanding was Amanda. However, she didn't say much and simply waited for Joey to explain. Joey spoke with respect. Lady Skathak will be your teacher in combat. Understood? This. Everyone looked even more lost. One by one, they observed Skathak, and to them, she looked like an ordinary person. Someone like this was supposed to be their teacher? Hey. 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 Joey chuckled and said, if you're doubtful, why don't you try for yourselves? See if she is qualified to be your teacher. Go ahead. The group exchanged looks. Eventually, some of them decided to test it out firsthand. After all, this wasn't a joke. How could they randomly accept just anyone as a teacher? They trusted their big brother, but still. She clearly looked like an ordinary person. However, Joey had already seen how this would end for his proud and arrogant little siblings. Ah. Teacher, stop hitting us. Help. No more, please. Very soon, cries of agony filled the air as they realized something terrifying. Even when they fought at full strength, there was no difference. No, even when they used more strength, it made no difference. With Skathak's techniques, she could effortlessly beat them down. This wasn't even a fair fight. More importantly, with their tough bodies, they weren't supposed to feel pain. But under Skathak's attacks, all they felt was endless suffering. Hey. Joey chuckled, how does it feel now? Looking at his younger siblings lying face down on the ground, he couldn't help but grin in satisfaction. Cocky, weren't you? Well, looks like you learned your lesson. Teacher. Everyone lowered their heads in complete respect. They were utterly convinced. Joey smiled, from now on, everyone must learn from the teachers. Other areas of study are optional, but combat training is mandatory. Starting today, this is an official rule of the Charlotte family. Yes. Even though Joey was smiling, that look in his eyes made it very clear, refusing was not an option. His siblings knew all too well, Big Bro wasn't joking. Seeing his once arrogant siblings become obedient after one beating, Joey continued, alright, let's go meet our other teacher. Yes. This time, they were much more obedient. Even though Zhuge Liang also looked like an old man, they didn't dare act rashly. Instead, they humbly asked questions and followed his teachings. Especially Amanda. Since Joey had already decided she would be the head of his 36 ministers, a position akin to the future Prime Minister of Todo Land, she diligently studied under Zhuge Liang. In just 2 or 3 days, the entire family had settled into a structured routine. Joey nodded in satisfaction. Even though this training takes some time, it's absolutely necessary. To him, this was extremely important. Strength. Knowledge. These two factors would bring the greatest growth. Joey squinted slightly and chuckled, the whole family is finally on track. Teacher, I really have to thank you. Standing up, Joey bowed respectfully to Zhuge Liang. Zhuge Liang stroked his beard and laughed, Master, there's no need to be so formal. This is what I should do. Besides, I can tell these children have a thirst for knowledge. Their talent and potential are truly outstanding. With proper guidance, their future growth will be even greater. Joey smiled warmly, that's right. I'll have to trouble you. Our family is gradually improving, and the foundation for the future has been laid. As long as everything continues to develop, that's enough. A strong foundation, that's what truly matters. Only by solidifying the base, can everything else flourish. Chapter 88, The Second Voyage Time. It always moves the fastest. Half a month gone in the blink of an eye. During these 2 weeks, the entire Charlotte family underwent significant changes. Learning. That was basically the only thing occupying everyone's lives. Aside from learning, all they did was more learning. For everyone in the Charlotte family, they had fallen into a cycle where learning became the most important thing. In fact, they all believed it was the only thing that truly mattered. Phew, a deep breath was exhaled. Daifuku and Oven. The two of them were nearly at their breaking point. Hee. Watching these two exhausted brats, Joey smiled warmly and said, so, you two brats, do you feel any different now? The two silently looked at their older brother. Opening their mouths slightly, they hesitated. Then, silence. Daifuku sighed, Teacher Skathak is terrifying beyond belief. That was pure, absolute domination. It wasn't even a battle on the same level. I just can't understand. How can one person be this strong? Joey responded gently, in her world, she has the skill to slay gods. Teaching you two brats is naturally an easy task for him. Oven nodded in realization, so she is really that terrifying? Of course. Joey affirmed, if not, why would I have made him the Charlotte family's teacher? These two are both top tier in skill and knowledge. You two need to study hard. Daifuku and Oven obediently nodded. Joey then continued, you two brats, I know you're close to your limit, so fine. I'm setting sail soon, and this time, you two are coming with me. What? Finally. Daifuku and Oven immediately jumped up in excitement. They were absolutely thrilled. Finally, a legitimate excuse to escape from lessons. But, creak. At that moment, the door suddenly swung open. Skathak stepped inside. Their smiles froze instantly. Their entire bodies stiffened. Skathak said indifferently, setting sail? That's fine. Daifuku, Oven, on this voyage, make sure you master what I've taught you. When you return, you will be tested. If you fail, you know the consequences. Yes, master. The two responded with a deep bow. They looked just like well-behaved children, showing none of their usual antics. Joey chuckled and shook his head. Seriously. What could he even say? His younger siblings had been completely disciplined by their master. Skathak then turned to Joey, her gaze deep as she remarked, your potential is incredible. If you truly dedicated yourself, you might even surpass me one day. But Joey simply smiled and said, I'm sorry, but I can't accept that ambition. To me, a person can live without emotions, but emotions should never be abandoned. If I become someone who doesn't care about family, then what's the point of having power? He didn't like the idea of being emotionless. To him, the bond with his siblings, the love of a mother and son, the respect between a teacher and disciple. These feelings are what make someone truly human. If emotions are gone, is a person even really alive? A soulless machine. If that's what a human becomes, then what difference is there between life and death? Joey shook his head gently. Lady Skathak, I'm sorry. What a pity. Skathak also shook her head. Oh well. Even though you refuse, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Over the years, I've trained countless heroes, including that mad dog. But in the end, none of them had real emotions. They all believed that sacrifice was the duty of a hero, yet they never understood the value of human feelings. As she spoke, Skathak's expression became filled with emotion. Joey simply shook his head, choosing not to say more. It was impossible for him to accept such a way of thinking. He was human, not a beast. With his departure approaching, there were still matters to be settled. Even though he didn't need to manage everything himself, there were still many things that required careful attention before he left. This was crucial. Inside the study, Joey, Prospero, and Amand sat together. Joey began, Prospero, Amand, I'll be away for a while. This voyage will take about 3 months, then I'll be back. During this time, you two are responsible for managing the family affairs. Prospero responded seriously, Big bro. Don't worry. The trade guild won't have any problems. Hee. Hearing this, Joey chuckled, I'm not worried about the trade guild. It's running smoothly on its own now. You, on the other hand, should just focus on learning from the two teachers. Prospero knew exactly what he meant. Training in combat was still manageable. But the real challenge was studying strategy and business under Zhu Liang and understanding human nature. Those lessons had completely consumed Prospero. He was obsessively learning everything he could. Even though it had only been 2 weeks, now, Prospero could spend his days eating, drinking, and playing, and the entire Dark Trade Guild would still function smoothly. That was the confidence he had gained from his recent studies. Hee, Prospero chuckled. Big bro. Sometimes, I thought I was strong, but after truly learning, I realized how weak I actually was. It's honestly hard to believe. Amanda agreed. Yeah, big bro. Teacher's teachings are truly incredible. Joey looked at his younger siblings with warmth. Compared to half a month ago, they had changed significantly. Prospero was still ruthless and cunning. But now, he knew the fine balance between cruelty and profit. And Amanda? Actually, she never had an issue with ability, she just needed confidence. Now, under Zhu Liang's guidance, her confidence was finally starting to surface. Joey couldn't help but be impressed. Under Skathak's training, everyone was developing the aura of a hero. Under Zhu Liang's instruction, everyone was gaining vast knowledge and reshaping their personalities. And that was enough. Burning about 200 devil fruits? That no longer mattered. Losses could always be recovered. Those were expendable. What truly mattered was strengthening the family. And at the core of the Charlotte family, its foundation. Its roots. That was what Joey valued most. Joey and Prospero discussed matters regarding the Dark Trade Guild. It was worth mentioning that Linlin never trained under Skathak. Linlin was too short-tempered and would never accept such teachings. Linlin and Katakuri had already set sail again, continuing Big Mom's pirate crew plan. With them gone, there were no issues on the pirate crew's side. The next major concern was the Dark Trade Guild. Prospero pondered and said, Big bro. That's not a problem. I've already accounted for everything. In just 1 more year, when the World Conference begins, A lot of the trouble will ease. Joey replied, regardless, we can't afford to be careless. I'm taking Daifuku and Oven with me this time. Although Opera and the others will be guarding Todo Land, if an emergency arises, you can pull some people from there. Hearing this, Prospero nodded. Got it, big bro. After wrapping up their discussion, Joey turned to Amand. What do you think? Hee, Amand chuckled. Big bro, you're always teasing me. I've been feeling great lately. I've changed a lot. Joey smiled gently. That's great, isn't it? People grow by improving step by step. Confidence is essential. Keep learning from teachers usually ain't. Todo Land's construction still has a full year to go, so there's no rush. We have enough manpower. Listening to Joey, Amand nodded obediently. The usually cold and elegant Amand seemed cute and docile at this moment. Because in front of her big brother, she didn't need to keep up that cold and indifferent facade. However, Joey then spoke seriously. Draenor Island is a top priority. Make sure all aspects are well managed. Other than Whole Cake Island, Draenor Island is the most critical. Amand, back to her composed self, responded, Big bro. You can rest easy. I'm the minister of Draenor Island. I know exactly what to do. Good. Joey nodded. The construction speed of 100 Arms Island, Sun Chasing Island, Giant Whale Island, Memory Island, Paradise Island, Elf Island, and Atlantis all need to be increased. Joey considered the situation further. Within Todo Land's waters, there were 36 islands in total. Whole Cake Island was the central hub. Next was Draenor Island, and another 11 islands had designated inhabitants, leaving 24 islands still unclaimed. After a moment of silence, Joey decided, alright. These 12 islands will be the main focus of development. The remaining 24 islands will be prepared with rune placements and core infrastructures before we bring in new races. Understood, big bro. This wasn't just an endless list of reminders. As the family's leader, before departing, Joey was personally handling these arrangements. In reality, Joey didn't have to set out on this journey himself. But, as a perfectionist, Joey trusted his subordinates to do the work but insisted on personally laying the perfect groundwork. This wasn't a joke. A solid foundation was crucial to Joey. As long as the foundation was laid properly, nothing else would be a problem. The next day the ship was ready. Be careful. Over here. What was once just a 2,000-person mafia, had now expanded into 20,000 men. One of the rarest human groups in Todo Land. This time, Joey set sail with 3,000 of them, excluding chefs and maids. In truth, they were no longer called the Mafia. Instead, they were known as the Black Solidars. A simple name, yet it represented the Charlotte family's most loyal warriors. Their strength wasn't the greatest, but their loyalty was undeniable. Even without a slave contract, they would still stand in front to protect the family. Clap. Daifuku and Oven walked over, managing logistics along the way. Joey approached with Prospero and Amand. Soon, they stopped in front of the ship. Joey smiled. Alright, you two head back. Everything is arranged here. There won't be any problems. Although they nodded obediently, they still stared at Joey for a long moment. However, Joey didn't pay much attention to their lingering gazes. Prospero and Amand. They just felt like their center was leaving, and for a moment, they weren't sure how to handle it. After all, as long as Big Bro was home, even if he did nothing, he was still the family's pillar. Joey then turned to a group in the distance. Alright, you little troublemakers. Since you're already here, come with me. You can keep learning later. For now, you'll follow me on this journey and broaden your horizons. Big Bro. Hearing Joey's words, Nustort, Moscato, Mash, Custard, and some others all rushed over, clinging to Joey's legs. Afraid they'd be dragged back to studying. Kids, after all. Always hated studying. Chapter 89, Next Target. Hahaha, hee, Nustort and Moscato. These two little rascals were running all over the deck. The ship was moving at a good speed. However, being a large vessel, its stability was unquestionable. It ensured both speed and steadiness. Joey watched the two kids dashing around, shaking his head with a smile. They were still so young. Nustort had just turned 4. Mash, Cornstarch, and Moscato, the 3 siblings, were only 3 years old. Still way too young. Humphrey. Mash huffed in dissatisfaction. A bunch of little brats, just running around aimlessly. This is the time to remain calm and composed, carrying ourselves with dignity. Cornstarch nodded in agreement. That's right, we should be elegant. Haha, Joey couldn't help but laugh. He asked gently, Mash, Cornstarch, who taught you that? Mash blushed. Big brother. Teachers Liang taught us that we must maintain our poise and composure because the Charlotte family is destined to stand at the top of the world. We must present ourselves accordingly. Joey chuckled and nodded. Oh, is that so? Then, he continued, is training with your Misters Liang and Lady Skathak exhausting? Ugh. Cornstarch let out an adorable whimper, scratching her little head. Actually, it's not tiring at all. We're just learning the basics. Every day, we only study for a short time, but. The little one struggled to put her thoughts into words. They were still just kids, after all. Hee, Joey chuckled, shaking his head. Honestly, Skathak and Liang were both brilliant teachers who adapted their lessons to each student. Skathak had trained countless great heroes and powerful magicians. Liang had once manipulated his entire war era like a chessboard. Their abilities spoke for themselves. Neither of them would resort to dull, rigid teaching methods. Still, kids would always be kids. No matter how mature they seemed, they still didn't like studying. Defuka walked over curiously. Mash, Cornstarch, did they give you homework? Mash nodded. Big brother Defuku, both of them assign us homework. But it's not too hard. As long as we focus, we finish quickly. Defuku and Oven instantly looked like they had swallowed a bug. They were students too. Then why were their assignments so brutal? Their lessons were anything but easy. After returning, they had to survive 10 minutes against Skathak. In battle. 10 minutes? That was basically a joke. Even in a fair fight, barely anyone in this world could hold their own against Skathak for that long under an equal level. Even if she held back, they still struggled. Sigh. Oven sighed heavily. Guess we're in for another beating. Joey didn't say much, he just watched the two boys with a smile. This was a good way for them to grow. Strict teachers made excellent students. As their big brother, he felt bad for them, but he couldn't show it. If he did, these little rascals would always hide behind him in the future. He had to let them grow stronger. Not just for the family's sake, but for their own. Joey never saw his siblings as tools. They were family. Real, cherished family. People had emotions. They weren't heartless statues. Huff, Nustort and Moscato ran up, panting heavily. Actually, these two kids had excellent potential. Moscato was a given. Even in the original story, Big Mom had taken 40 years of his lifespan in her crazy mode, and let's not forget that not just anyone could stand in front of a rampaging Big Mom. As for Nustort? In the original story, he traveled the world alone as a child and made a huge name for himself. He was even rumored to have been invited to become a warlord of the sea. Whether that was true or not, Joey didn't know. But where there's smoke, there's fire. His potential was undeniable. Huh? Oven raised a brow. Wait a minute. With your physical strength, you two shouldn't be panting like this just from running. It was odd. Joey had already boosted their potential to gold rank 1, plus they had Big Mom's bloodline. Their talent and genetics were top-notch. Something wasn't adding up. Oh? Nustort blinked in confusion. Big brother Oven, we weren't just playing around. We were training. Master taught us this method. It's really simple and not hard at all. It lets us use up all our energy while playing and recover quickly. Moscato nodded. That's right. Master Skathak said this will help us grow better. Wait a second. Defuku and Oven suddenly realized something. That didn't make sense. Skathak always treated all students equally. Why would she only teach this to the little kids and not them? Joey smirked. He already understood Skathak's intentions. But some things had to be figured out on their own. Otherwise, if they failed, they'd only have themselves to blame for not being observant enough. Defuku suddenly asked, Nustort, did Master say you could teach us? Nustort nodded. Of course. If you and Big Brother Oven want to learn, you can. Alright. Defuku and Oven exchanged a look. Without hesitation, they started learning. They finally understood a little bit. Hee. Joey watched the four boys busy themselves again and chuckled. Defuku and Oven finally caught on. Now they'll be fine when they return. Otherwise, Skathak really would have punished them. Mash tilted her head in confusion. Cornstarch, however, seemed to get it. This was Master's test for Big Brother Defuku and Big Brother Oven. If they studied properly, then that's the end of it. But if they didn't, Master would definitely discipline them. Joey smiled. That's right. Those two have a strong desire to improve. If they didn't, they'd deserve the punishment. Oh. After about 15 minutes of training. Thud. The two boys collapsed to the ground. Joey walked over, crouching down. Defuku, Oven, you're already worn out? Big brother. Oven weakly gasped. This is exhausting. Teacher Skathak combined some of the body training techniques. It's not just physical conditioning, it strengthens every part of the body. Huff. Defuka was equally drained. Master is truly amazing. Such a simple method, yet so effective. Joey nodded in agreement. That's Master for you. This training method allows steady growth from childhood. He clapped his hands. Alright, you little rascals, go rest. Don't get too comfortable, Lady Skathak is waiting for you in Tato Land. If you slack off, you'll regret it. At that moment, several maids arrived. One of them bowed respectfully. Lord Joey, Lady Skathak has ordered a medicinal bath for the 4 young masters after training. Also, she has set training sessions twice a day, morning and night, for the best results. Joey chuckled. She really has everything planned out, the maid continued. Yes, Lord Joey. Twice a day is optimal. Too much would be counterproductive. Joey nodded. Alright then, take these 4 brats down for their medicinal baths. Let them rest well. Life goes on, after all. He waved dismissively at the 4 boys. The 4 troublemakers were carried off. Afterward, Joey settled onto a sofa on the deck. On the ship, sofas and tea tables were always prepared on the deck, along with hot tea available at all times. The master of this household, Joey, loved drinking tea and reading books, so naturally, everything had to be arranged accordingly. Mash and Cornstarch sat across from Joey, watching their eldest brother read and sip tea. The 2 little girls were clearly delighted. Snap. Joey closed his book and smiled. What's up with you two? Mash, with a cute expression, said, Big bro, I just feel like it's been a long time since we've had a moment alone like this. Joey responded warmly, if you like, you can always come find me. I'd never turn you away. You Cornstarch scratched her golden hair and cutely said, but we don't want to disturb you, big bro. Truthfully, in terms of appearance, Mash and Cornstarch had rather ordinary looks. Moreover, Cornstarch was particularly shorter than most people. But Joey never cared about those things. They were his little siblings, and he had never looked down on anyone. Bonk. Joey sat up and lightly knocked the 2 girls on their heads, laughing. What are you even thinking? Do I seem like that kind of person? Seriously, you 2 always let your imaginations run wild. Then he leaned back, smiling. Big bro will always welcome you, anytime. No matter when, you can always come find me. The 2 girls held their heads, but they were grinning happily. However, Cornstarch, more than Mash, put on a little mature act and curiously asked, Big bro, where are we heading next? Joey didn't treat it like a child's question. Talent was something that manifested early, especially in this world. It wasn't strange for kids to show remarkable potential from a young age. That's why Joey never hesitated to nurture his younger siblings. If they had extraordinary talent, all the better. Hearing Cornstarch's question, Joey explained, this journey is mainly about locating the Longra-Erm tribe, Long-Leg tribe, Snake-Neck tribe, Three-Eye tribe, Angel tribe, and searching for other rare tribes, as well as investigating whether the Dragon tribe might still exist. As for the Mink tribe, the chances of finding them this time are low. Oh. Cornstarch nodded cutely, while Mash asked curiously, Big bro, doesn't our family already have these races? Except for the Angel and this Dragon tribe. Why are we looking for more? Dummy sis. Cornstarch pouted like a little grown-up. Sis, you're such a dummy. Don't you get it? Just a few people? A few dozen? Even a few hundred? That's not nearly enough. We need more citizens. A whole nation with less than 200,000 people? That's way too few. Watching Cornstarch scold Mash like a little adult, Joey felt quite satisfied and said, Cornstarch is right. Tato Land is meant to be a sanctuary for all non-human races. It's incredibly important that we bring in more citizens. Oh, that reminds me. Suddenly, Joey turned to Cornstarch and asked, Little one, do you want to help Big Bro? Or maybe help a man with her work? Cornstarch froze, completely caught off guard. Chapter 90, Saving the Three-Eye Tribe. Joey took out a devil fruit from the family's emblem and placed it in front of Cornstarch. Huh? Big Bro? Cornstarch stared at the devil fruit in disbelief. For a moment, she didn't know what to do. Hey. Ha ha, Joey watched his little sister's hesitation with amusement and teased, Cornstarch, didn't you say you wanted to help your big brother? What's wrong? Are you backing out now, little girl? Hearing this, Cornstarch immediately stood firm. Of course not. I'd never back down. She huffed. With a defiant snort, she grabbed the devil fruit and took big bites, swallowing it down quickly. Mash watched her little sister happily. Anyone had to admit, Joey had done an excellent job raising them. Among the siblings, jealousy never existed. If they could do something, they did it. If they couldn't, they didn't try to force themselves into something beyond their ability. The reason was simple. In the Charlotte family, if you wanted something, Big Brother Joey wouldn't refuse you. However, if you took something but didn't have the ability to make use of it, you'd only feel embarrassed. Joey smiled warmly. Little girl, do you know what it means to take this honey fruit? Though still young, Cornstarch answered firmly, Big Bro. I will definitely become a worthy minister. Haha, Joey nodded with a gentle smile, then handed her a modified firearm. Then, this gun is yours. It's called the Bee Sting, a specially modified pistol. Its bullets are like bee stingers, able to pierce through anything with ease. And, his tone suddenly turned serious. Cornstarch, from today onward, you are the Minister of Honey for Paradise Island. The cute little Cornstarch straightened up and declared, I won't let you down. Joey ruffled her hair with a chuckle. Alright, don't be too tense. From now on, you'll need to study hard. No matter what you want to do, since you've taken this position, you must work for it. Got it? Hearing Joey's words, Cornstarch nodded her little head firmly. After a moment of thought, Joey continued, no matter what happens, once you've made a choice, you must not give up easily. The word responsibility sounds simple, but carrying it is not easy. Understand, little one? His voice was gentle, but there was a quiet strength in his words. Cornstarch didn't say anything. She simply picked up the remaining honey fruit. Crunch. She continued eating it bite by bite. Devil fruits were known for their terrible taste, but to Cornstarch, this one felt a little different. She then picked up the bee sting gun and smiled brightly. Big Bro. I swear, I'll never let you down. Joey shook his head with a warm smile. You don't need to prove anything to me. Just don't let yourself down. You've made a decision. If your future self disappoints your present self, wouldn't that be an even bigger regret? He patiently guided both his little sisters. Between the two, Mash was naturally more skilled in combat. However, her thinking and other abilities were not as sharp. Which was normal. After all, just like Brule and Broe. Even though they were sisters, their talents were vastly different. It wasn't strange at all. In fact, it was completely normal. Time goes by. Joey was living quite a relaxed life. Drinking tea, reading newspapers, flipping through books. Practicing swordsmanship here and there. Speaking of which, his greatsword's overall strength had already reached bronze level 7. However, after reaching that level, his progress slowed down dramatically. It had gotten ridiculously slow. By his estimation, if he didn't rely on any external factors, his silver greatsword, would need a long time to go from bronze level 7 to his current silver level 3. There were only 5 levels in between, yet the gap was enormous. Still, after some research, Joey realized that aside from improving his swordsmanship, there weren't many ways to enhance his greatsword's combat ability. It was frustrating, but nothing he could do about it. Ever since awakening Silver Greatsword, he had maintained an unshakable routine, 3 hours of sword training every day. Other than that, he simply enjoyed the voyage in peace. They had been sailing for 5 days now. Soon, they would arrive at their first destination. As for those 6 brats, they weren't a problem at all. Each of them had their own studies to focus on. Their teachers had already assigned plenty of coursework. In fact, even before they left Todo Land, their mentors had anticipated what their situation would be like and had prepared a structured curriculum for them. Down to the last detail. Before, Joey had to personally teach them. Now, he didn't even have to lift a finger. Because of that, Joey could just sit back, sip tea, and enjoy his books. Sighing in contentment, he muttered, "This is the life. Teaching my younger siblings was nice and all, but now that they have proper mentors, I can finally relax. So nice." With a satisfied smile, he closed his eyes and stretched. However, this leisurely life was only temporary. A little relaxation was fine, but he couldn't get too comfortable. After all, he had ambitions. Big ones. More importantly, Skithak or Yang. Why did they so readily agree to train the Charlotte family? The answer was simple. They saw the ambition and drive burning within Joey. For people like them, the idea of nurturing someone who could one day rule over everything was an interesting prospect. That was why they agreed. But if Joey ever lost that fire in his heart, those two wouldn't hesitate to leave. "Chief." A man in black approached and bowed respectfully. "We're about to arrive." Joey put down his book and said, "Judging by the route, 5 days sounds about right. The land of the Three-Eyed Tribe." He stood up, hands clasped behind his back, and gazed at the approaching island. The weather in the New World was unpredictable. Even the most experienced navigators couldn't fully control the changing skies. Of course, Nami was an exception. That girl was a total cheat. No joke. Her ability to sense weather changes with her amazing body was basically a bug in the system. Overall, mastering navigation in the new world was incredibly difficult. Joey murmured to himself, so this is where the three-eyed tribe has been hiding. A secluded island. But... boom. Before he could finish his sentence, the sound of cannon fire erupted. Joey's ears twitched slightly. He already knew what was happening. As expected, no matter how well they hid, as long as they were a different race, those greedy bastards would never stop hunting them. They had already found the hidden home of the three-eyed tribe. For these lunatics, once they set their sights on a target, they wouldn't show any mercy. The three-eyed tribe was an extremely rare race, and their value on the black market was staggering. Ha ha ha, boys. I knew they were here. These three-eyed freaks have been hiding out in this place. Round them all up. With this deal, we won't even need to be pirates anymore. After this haul, we'll be filthy rich. Rah! A horde of pirates roared like madmen. Their eyes were bloodshot. No, they weren't just acting crazy, they were already completely insane. They had become demons, entirely consumed by greed. At this moment, on this desolate island, a woman stood at the front, struggling to hold off the attack. Behind her were many members of the three-eyed tribe, most of whom weren't suited for combat at all. The three-eyed tribe was an incredibly unique race. Their third eye possessed special abilities. And because of these abilities, many people considered them prized possessions, something to be collected and exploited when needed. This was one of the main reasons why their numbers had dwindled over time. Elder, take the children and run. That's right. You need to escape while you still can. A group of three-eyed tribe members blocked the woman's path. They had already resolved to sacrifice themselves, so that the elderly and the children could escape. In the past, their fathers had done the same. And now, it was their turn to protect their young. Such was the fate of the three-eyed tribe. Or rather, such was the fate of nearly all non-human races. To humans, they were outcasts. Hunted and persecuted. It was as if mankind wanted to wipe them out completely. But why? Perhaps it was human nature to reject anything different. Or maybe it was because the unique powers of these races instilled fear in them. The elder remained silent. She had already experienced this nightmare once before. And now, after only a few short years of peace, it was happening again? Sigh. With a heavy heart, she murmured, perhaps this is all my fault. If not for my stubborn pride. We could have sought refuge in Tato Land and avoided this suffering. Truth be told, every non-human race knew about Tato Land's sanctuary. Many had flocked there joyfully. The stronger races had their own means of survival, but some were simply too proud to seek help. And now, the three-eyed tribe was about to pay the price for that pride. Tap. At that moment, the sound of footsteps echoed. A gentle voice cut through the chaos. Are you just going to give up like this? Surrendering in this way is meaningless. Everyone turned their heads instantly. A lone figure approached. It was Joey. Every member of the three-eyed tribe knew his face. But none of them had expected that Joey would actually appear here. The elder murmured in disbelief, the Charlotte clan's chief? You. Joey smiled warmly. No need to panic. Whether the three-eyed tribe agrees or not, Tato Land is already home to some of your kind. For their sake, I will save you all. His gentle smile washed over them like a soothing breeze. Demonic slash. Boom. A terrifying slash ripped through the battlefield, instantly splitting a pirate ship in half. Ah. What the hell just happened? Damn it. Jump into the sea. Jump. Dozens of pirates were slaughtered on the spot, while many others frantically leaped into the ocean, desperately swimming toward the shore. If they could just make it to land, they might still have a chance. Their speed was impressive. But someone was faster. Gurgle. Oven's fists burned red hot, boiling like magma. Neck Kaijigaku boiling sea. He plunged his fists into the water. In an instant, the ocean heated up. The entire coastal waters turned into a scalding hot spring. And the temperature kept rising at an alarming rate. At its core, the heat fruit could raise temperatures without limit, even surpassing magma itself. Ah! Help! I'm dying. Within moments, all that remained were the lifeless bodies of pirates, boiled like chickens in a pot. Daifuku. Oven. They had just made their grand debut. Chapter 91, 2 words. Tato Land. Roaring sounds and explosions were echoing endlessly. From start to finish, it was nothing but a joke. Humphrey. Daifuku snorted coldly, his face full of disdain. Hey. Oven crossed his arms arrogantly, steam rising from his body like boiling water vapor. No matter how you looked at it, both of them exuded absolute confidence and dominance. Stepping forward to stand beside Joey, Oven grinned and said, Big bro. It's all taken care of. Just a bunch of trash. And these guys call themselves pirates? Humphrey. Daifuku scoffed and added, "Big bro, if this kind of garbage keeps coming, we'll just keep wiping them out. They're nothing but worthless scum." Looking at his two younger brothers, Joey responded gently, "You little brats, so arrogant now. It's fine to have pride, but don't be reckless. Understand? Whether your opponent is strong or weak, you should always go all out. Got it, big bro?" Understood. The two brothers obediently accepted the lesson. After all, they were still young and reckless. But that's how youth should be. Otherwise, what's the point of being young? Looking at his brothers warmly, Joey sighed with a chuckle, "Haha, I know you two aren't convinced. But that's fine. If young men aren't a little reckless, what will they become in the future? It's true, I've been focusing so much on your growth that I forgot, you're still just kids." Alvin quickly shook his head, "Big bro. No. We understand, you're doing this for our own good." Daifuku nodded, "Yeah. Big bro, it's nothing. Plenty of people might want to harm us, but you never would." Hearing the three brothers talk, the Third Eye tribe members standing nearby felt like they were turning to stone. They stood there in silence. Wait, what? Kids? These two towering monsters, nearly 2 meters tall, are just kids? Huh? Is this some kind of joke? Right now, Daifuku was wearing a blue coat, sporting short yellow hair and earrings, radiating the aura of a total thug. Alvin had fiery orange hair styled into 3 flame-like spikes, resembling a professional boxer. He wore no shirt, just a cape, orange pants, and gloves. In short, these two looked like anything but gangsters. And yet, they were only kids. No joke, at this moment, the Third Eye tribe members felt like their entire lives had been a waste. If this was true, they might as well just drop dead now. Right then, hey. Joey turned to them with a warm smile. "Apologies, Elder." The Elder hurriedly waved her hands. "Charlotte Clan Leader, my name is Lai. Please, just call me by my name. Elder is too much. Too much." She frantically shook her head. There was no comparison. None at all. The Charlotte family had only recently begun to make their mark on the world. But, their strength, status, and methods were already fully on display. The Third Eye tribe, on the brink of extinction, couldn't possibly compare. Joey didn't stand on ceremony. "Miss Lai, then I won't be polite. Let's speak plainly, I don't like wasting words. You already know my invitation. What's your decision?" Half a month ago, he had sent invitations to both the Third Eye tribe and the Snack-Neck tribe. However, unlike the Snack-Neck tribe, the Third Eye tribe was being stubborn. The Snack-Neck tribe had been decisive. Hearing that the highest-ranking minister in Tato land was a man, Charlotte Amand. It didn't matter who she was. What mattered was that she was from the Snack-Neck tribe. That alone was enough. All the Snack-Neck tribe members had eagerly rushed toward Tato land, ready to surrender. Watching Lai and the other Third Eye tribe members remain silent, Joey remained patient and warm. "It seems like you and your people still haven't made up your minds. In that case, we'll be leaving. You'll have to handle the rest on your own." That's what he said. But, knowing Joey's nature, if they didn't obediently fall in line. Hey. They could expect mysterious attacks, relentless assaults, one after another. If anyone thought Joey was a nice guy, they were gravely mistaken. Gentle? Kind? That was just one side of him. Cold, ruthless, merciless, that was the true nature of a ruler. Right and wrong. Good and evil. Light and darkness. All of it, converged within Joey. For this man, there was no distinction between light and dark. Only absolute chaos. That was the nature of a ruler. Holding absolute power meant never letting anyone see through your thoughts. That was what true leadership demanded. Wait. As Joey was about to leave without hesitation, Lai didn't dare waste another second. She rushed forward anxiously, calling out, "Lord Charlotte! Lord Charlotte!" You, Joey responded gently, "Miss Lai, you better understand something. My Charlotte family doesn't need the Three-Eyed tribe. Scattered across the seas, there are still a couple of thousand three-eyed people already residing in Tato land. Without my protection, your tribe will be utterly wiped out, reduced to slaves for everyone else." His voice was warm, even soft. It was almost as if he was joking. But Lai felt a chill run down her spine. At that moment, Lai looked at the man before her, hands hidden within the wide sleeves of his coat, exuding the demeanor of a refined nobleman. A sudden shiver coursed through her. She understood. Terrifying. This man was terrifying enough to make one's blood freeze. He was someone who held everything within the palm of his hand. Taking a deep breath, Lai forced herself to stay calm and asked cautiously, "Lord Charlotte, can you guarantee the safety of the Three-Eyed tribe?" Lai wasn't an ambitious person. All she wanted was to ensure the survival of her tribe. Right now, Tato Land seemed like a utopia. But the problem was, who knew if, once Tato Land became strong enough, they would enslave all the other races. It wasn't an impossible scenario. That was why I was being so cautious. But Joey had no intention of indulging her hesitation. Don't want to come? I'm not begging you. Now that Joey was leaving, today. Right now. The three-eyed tribe would be erased from the seas, their bodies reduced to nothing but corpses. Did they really think Joey was some benevolent saint? He was gathering various races to fulfill his mother's dream. And also, because he was a perfectionist. But as long as the seed was planted, that was enough. A few thousand survivors could still grow and reproduce over time. Throughout his record, Joey had always shown a gentle, kind demeanor. To the world, Joey appeared to be a reasonable, approachable man. But people should never forget. Even the likes of Kano country's great rulers treated Joey with utmost respect. Did they think that was just because of his kindness? Don't be ridiculous. It was simply because this man never had to reveal his blade. Hypocrite? Villain? These titles meant nothing to Joey. He only cared about achieving his goals. Hey, hearing Lai's response, Daifuku sneered, this is honestly hilarious. You want to submit to Tato Land, yet you have to ask if we will protect your people? Oven, ever the brute, growled, what you should be worried about is whether you even deserve Tato Land's protection. They were far from the main settlement of the three-eyed tribe. Lai knew that much. Some things she had to handle on her own, without alarming her people. Joey spoke calmly, Miss Lai, you don't need to overthink this. For Tato Land, success is inevitable. If you're wondering why, it's simple. Tato Land is the country my Charlotte family is building. Our success is simply natural. His tone was light-hearted. Unconcerned. Joey remained as composed as ever. Lai fell silent. Joey, however, had already turned to leave, his voice drifting back, tomorrow morning. If you wish to submit, meet us at the coast and be ready to depart. If not, we'll leave without you. Humphrey. Daifuku and Oven radiated killing intent. These two brothers knew exactly what their older brother meant. Over the years, why were Daifuku and Oven so powerful, so ruthless? Because they had followed Joey for too long. Back when the Charlotte family was still rising, Prospero had to stay home to manage things, Compote and Katakuri had to oversee the family's affairs. That left Joey, Daifuku, and Oven to act freely across the seas. These two brothers had grown up in bloodshed. To put it bluntly, they were so drenched in darkness, they could never turn back. As for whether we can protect the three-eyed tribe? Humphrey. Tato Land. Those two words are enough. At that moment, Joey's voice echoed in Lai's ears once more. And with that, Lai finally understood what she had to do. If she still refused to see reason, 1 chance, 2 chances. But there wouldn't be a third. Back on the ship, Daifuku asked seriously, Big bro, these three-eyed people really are ungrateful, huh? Hearing the situation, his other siblings were also displeased. For the Charlotte family, loyalty to the family was everything. Little Cornstarch tilted her head thoughtfully and said, Daifuku, Oven, if we calculate the timing, shouldn't Opera be arriving around dawn? Of course, Opera was leading a massive fleet behind them. Their job was to escort the three-eyed tribe away. After all, there were still 10,000 of them. In this era, a standard ship could hold about 10,000 people at best. But the Charlotte family's shipbuilding skills were quite advanced. The craftsmanship of the dwarves that Joey got from another world and Wano's artisans was undeniably top tier. With both at work, building ships capable of holding thousands was effortless. Hearing Cornstarch's question, Oven nodded, yeah, Opera should be here by dawn. Cornstarch tilted her head and smiled. If they refuse to obey, just kill them all. Not a single one left. Pirates attacked, and we were just too late to save them, nothing we could do, right? After all, they chose not to listen. Daifuku laughed loudly, haha. Kid, I like you. That's the spirit of our Charlotte family. Teachers Yu Liang always said, mercy and ruthlessness must go hand in hand. But Daifuku smirked. Mercy just isn't my thing. I'll stick to just ruthlessness. Daifuku and Oven both liked this ruthless little sister. Family bonds in the Charlotte clan ran deep. Alright. Joey spoke. Let's just wait patiently. I trust that smart people will make smart choices. Chapter 92, Katakuri, the unbeatable monster. The next day at the break of dawn. Splash, a massive fleet sailed swiftly across the waters. Leading the charge was none other than Opera. Standing at the bow, wielding the azure dragon crescent blade. How should one put it? Opera now felt completely different. He wasn't the same person he used to be. Now, he carried himself like an arrogant general. But That arrogance came with undeniable strength. There was no doubt about it. Opera had improved in every way possible, not just in strength, but in all aspects. He had transformed completely. A young warrior who had walked through a sea of blood. There was no question about it. Splash, the massive fleet and ships slowly approached the shore. With a powerful leap, Opera landed aboard another vessel. Excited, he called out, "Big bro. Daifuku. Oven. And you four brats." Daifuku and Oven grinned at him. Oven chuckled, "Opera, you sure got here early." Opera laughed. "Big bro told me to move fast. This trip isn't meant to take too long. Besides, if those three-eyed tribe people don't behave, Humphrey." With a cold snort, Opera declared, "Then we'll just wipe them out and then help bring back the Snake-Neck tribe." There were some minor issues on that side. It was true. The brothers all agreed with Opera's stance. Disobedience? Disobedience meant death. Did anyone really think the Charlotte family was a charity? Don't be ridiculous. Every single member of the Charlotte family was ruthless. They were merciless, plain and simple. Clap. Joey stepped forward. "All right, no need to be so tense. You're all talking about killing like it's nothing. They haven't refused, they just need time to consider. Oh, by the way, Kitakuri has already arrived at Fishman Island. According to him, things are getting a little messy over there." "Huh?" Oven frowned. "Someone stirring up trouble on Fishman Island?" Joey sighed. "Not just someone, a whole lot of people. Those guys don't see Fishman Island or the Charlotte family as a threat at all. TSK, what a hassle. Let Kitakuri clean them up properly." Cornstarch commented, "Honestly, big bro, I think it's because Fishman Island hasn't raised Big Mom's pirate flag yet. Those pirates must have thought they could get away with it." Hearing that, Joey thought for a moment and nodded. "That's possible. But whether that's the case or not, it doesn't matter. Since they dared to challenge the Charlotte family, they must pay the price. This is the perfect opportunity for Kitakuri to make a name for himself. All right." He changed the subject. "Enough about Kitakuri. We have our own business to take care of. Let's either take over or destroy the Three-Eyed Tribe." "Understood, big bro." The others responded in unison, following Joey's lead. Splash, the massive fleet slowly made its way toward the island's shore. As the ship docked, Lai watched the approaching fleet and warriors, murmuring to herself, "I made the right decision. For the sake of the Three-Eyed Tribe, I made the best possible choice. I hope I wasn't wrong." A deep, solemn murmur. Lai didn't want to become the sinner of her people. And so she had no choice but to make a decision. But, Lai wasn't a naive child. She knew very well if she didn't make the right choice, the Charlotte family wouldn't let her off easily. Given the circumstances, she ultimately knew what she had to do. Resist? Die? Neither was an option for her. She could only pray that she had chosen correctly. With a warm smile, Joey stepped off the ship and said gently, "Miss Lai, you made the right choice. Rest assured, I will have Opera personally escort the Three-Eyed Tribe back to Todo Land. From now on, your people will live in safety." Lai bowed respectfully. "Thank you, Lord Joey." Joey nodded in satisfaction, quite pleased with the title she addressed him with. Then he paid her no further attention. To him, she was insignificant. If not for the Three-Eyed Tribe, he wouldn't have even acknowledged her existence. Daifuku, Oven, and Opera would handle the rest. Playing with a vial of liquid in his hand, Joey murmured, "Kitakuri, this is your stage. This gift. Big Bro has prepared it just for you. Fishman Island Ryugu Kingdom. This place was extremely dangerous. For pirates, it was the gateway to the new world. And here, countless pirates acted like madmen. Whether it was mermaids or the unique resources of Fishman Island, they were all treasures worth a fortune. But did they really think they could just take whatever they wanted? Ah. No. Help. Screams of agony. Painful wails. Neptune swallowed hard seeing this. Not just him. Queen Atoheim, Fisher Tiger, and all the high-ranking officials of the Ryugu Kingdom stared at the battlefield in shock. They were completely stunned. Compote stood tall at the bow, watching the battle unfold. Neptune and the others were here as well. This area was perfectly safe as Linlin was right behind them. There was no danger at all. Compote sighed. Kitakuri. He has gotten even stronger. After the God Valley War, his presence has changed significantly. Cracker, resting his massive sword on his shoulder, crouched on the deck and grinned. Well, isn't that natural, Compote? We're the Charlotte family. This level of dominance is only to be expected. Ha ha ha. Compote burst into laughter. You're absolutely right. For us, this is only natural. Hearing their conversation, everyone could feel it. That deep, undeniable pride. Not arrogance. But pure, Unshakable confidence. The pride of being part of the Charlotte family. This wasn't a joke. It was real, through and through. Neptune and the others remained silent. So this was the Charlotte family. At least 10,000 pirates had gathered on Fishman Island. And yet, against this one young man, they were completely helpless. Though he was still young,